I think we're going live. Hello, everybody. Hello. Hello. Check one, check two. I think we're working. That's fantastic. And here we are. Hello, everyone. We'll go live in just three, two. I know I'm kind of early, but I'm kind of late sometimes, so it kind of balances out, I think. You know what I mean? It's like, hello. How are you? Hi, everybody. Welcome. What's happening? Hello. It's a crazy day. It's as usual. It's a Monday, so I appreciate you joining me, especially if you are somewhere between crowbarring yourself back into some semblance of work and not knowing what your schedule is and your whole world's still upside down and the holidays are approaching and all your nutcase relatives insisted on traveling and now you're afraid they will just come by to cough on you. It's a bit odd, I gotta say. I have to say, and hi, folks in the UK, and I apologize on behalf of, I suppose, the French people who are, oddly enough, I found out today, the biggest anti-vaxxers in sort of your first tier countries, I suppose. I don't know what the classification would be. Certainly first world countries. Somewhere in the order of like 46% aren't going to get the vaccine and the like. Now, you need about 60% of people to be immune to a disease to have herd immunity. And yes, there is audio. There's you guys can hear me, right? There's audio. It certainly can. I might be mono, but I'm definitely here. Thank you, Raphael. Thank you for the super chats, everybody. We're back, of course, live on our original YouTube channel. So super chats are back and live, and I appreciate the help and support this wonderful holiday season as we're all in. There it is. Oh, we got audio again. There it goes. I don't know what the heck that was about. That was very strange. We had a moment. Yes, I know you couldn't hear me. That's why I was trying to fix. I beg your pardon. Yes. Apparently, there was a software error that suddenly refused to downmix my mic to mono, which is weird since it's a mono source. That's odd. I don't know why that is. I can't tell you. It's a bit weird. However, it works now. And in all this, we had a moment of silence, I think. A moment of, yes, we need closed caption. Well, the closed caption wouldn't actually work. Whoa. All right. Here, this is one of the ways I can solve this. Wow, that's loud. Oh, boy. Super loud. Hold on. We'll take this. We'll turn it down a bit so it's not so overwhelming. And we'll do it this way, shall we? There we go. A little bit of clicking around. Hopefully solved it. I think I figured it out. Oh, boy. How you guys doing? All right. I think it's work. Yes, it was very loud, and now it's better. And I think more even. Yes, yes. Oh, there's still a little red peaking in the meters, but I don't think it quite matters, except when I get carried away. Yes, the Russians are definitely trying to invade my show. I'm very proud of the amount of attacks the show has gotten lately. I have to say, like I feel like I'm really making some strides. You know, because I wasn't we weren't a target before. We're clearly striking a nerve somewhere, which is super fun. I've been shadow blocked by Giuliani. I got muted by Rudy Giuliani, which is lovely. I think he's afraid there's too much press in the. I'll bring myself up a touch. There we go. I think they believe that there was too much. Too much attention is caused when you block somebody officially. I went low, and now I'm too low, and now I'm back high again, perhaps. Yep. But let's see. I think it should be good. It sounds, I mean, in my ears, it sounds lovely. I don't quite know how we can. Your computer gets attacked every time you listen. I understand. Shadow blocked is when somebody mutes you instead of outright blocks you because they're afraid that you'll post that they blocked you and then it'll be obvious that you struck a nerve. It's I mute people all the time anyways. That's how you do it. It's totally fine, but it's fairly hilarious when it does occur. I will say that. And I'd like to let's see. How do I is it resources? No. Tools and settings? No. Where is the settings thing and where's the behave yourself channel in Resource Hub? Nope. Achievements? Absolutely fantastic. Overwhelming amount of attention going on in the Facebook world to the show, which is pretty spectacular. Like I always look at it because like who's in the chat and who's visiting and who's swings by and watches 3 seconds and then pisses off, all that stuff. Thank you, Jeffrey. I trust you guys as well. But in the case of in the case of Facebook, I don't mind if somebody's a legit human troll. They're amusing, and like I said, they help us. But I don't need them, like basically bomb dropping racial epithets and the like in my chat. So usually you have to be a member for a little while of Facebook. You have to have an account that's over 2 weeks old, those kind of things. And those settings, which you can set in the live part of Facebook, there is no ability to do that when I'm streaming from Restream without a bunch of finagling and flailing about. It's very strange. And I don't know why that would be. And by the way, thank you, Mary and Robin and Wes and Julius on there for the stars. It's been lovely. And thanks to David and Jeanette and Kimberly. Now that I get a chance to look at those things, it's quite lovely. Hi, Bakersfield. You can have people post 100 words or more on Facebook. Yeah, I can block that part of it. The question is, where? Maybe it's in settings. Page and permission. Nope, that's not it. It should be, quite frankly, in the creator's resources, in the creative tools, in the live dashboard. One would think. However, it's not. So anyway, so behave yourselves is what I'm saying. And thank you, Lynn and everybody. I'm going to modify the stars thing and to make it a lower amount or something like that. Somebody messaged me about that, and I'm afraid I don't know a ton about it. So I'm trying to fix that for you. That's one of the areas where I have to kind of dive in on that. Anyways, hi. And we have a lot today. Obviously, we didn't, because it was Sunday yesterday and it was the Lord's Day, and we take back one day to honor, so we're not digging in the wrong place. I am the monarch of the sea. Anybody? Raiders? Nope. Okay. So, we didn't get to do Trump on Maria Bartiromo. The Bartiromo show is fabulous, Maria Bartiromo. And she, Maria, has slowly but surely over time gone from being a financial reporter at Fox Business to the new Judge Jeanine, who basically carries the president's testicles in a gold tin, laminated, fake gold, but whatever. Everywhere he goes for him, and she's the delivery system for the great majority of his nonsense these days. Now, before we get to that, though, because boy, oh boy, it's a lot of fun. We'll hop in here. Before we get to that, there's a bunch of Rudy's in Arizona today. And the Trump campaign, if you'll notice, boink, is putting up all these videos of they're just blistering their page with all these 1 minute videos. See that 56 seconds, a minute 9, minute 46, 45. Because if you listen for more than 2 minutes to their argument, you go, oh, I'm sorry, this is bullshit. I was confused for a second. I thought this was an actual thing. 50, 35 seconds, 50 seconds, you can kind of almost buy it, right? You can almost go, oh, wait a minute. That's piqued my interest. But the minute they have to explain it, it starts to get super dumb. And no, there are no Democrats of these. These are gatherings in hotels to give the illusion that they are in a real legislative session. I think the hilarious part of it, for most of us, I think, is the idea that I guess the last one, the one in Philly, the hotel they picked was super. It was just great, And in many ways, it looked like, if you squint, maybe it was at a real session, a real legislative session. You couldn't really tell where they were that much. Unfortunately for them, they chose a Ramada that did most of their carpeting in, I think, 1991. And I think the renovations were done by Vanilla Ice himself. Because the carpet in this place, there's no mistaking this. Thank you, Yolanda. There's no mistaking this carpet for a real, the Arizona legislature. Just not happening. But, anyway, so let's hear it from the man himself, because we'll go back to when they started doing this. They had Jenna, obviously they played a clip of Maria Bartiromo interviewing Jenna Ellis from her broom closet. And then, of course, the president himself does an hour-long interview, and I think they give his pieces. He was on for 45 minutes, and they have 4 clips of him that are a minute apiece. I'm just saying, if there's depth to your argument, you're at least going to pull 3 minutes. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? So let's go to Rudy right off the bat, shall we?
We've been warned for 20 years
that shampoo in hair color is just not as good as a salon. But I've found different. I'm Rudy Giuliani, and with Just for Mange. All right.
Going to major mail-in ballots as a way.
Okay. By the way, we've been warned for decades. Yeah, the mic is hot there on their end. We've been warned for decades before computers and stuff. Let's be abundantly clear that this is like, it took a long time to come up with a vaccine in the 60s. Yeah, before electron microscopes and the ability to sequence the genome of a disease and have a computer sequence a response. That kind of shit. You mean before, I don't know, Mars rovers and like all of these things that they're going, Jimmy Carter warned us of these things. Yes, Jimmy Carter warned us of these things when most people voted by mail and had to still use their own stamps. So,
way of doing our elections will be fraught with tremendous fraud.
No. They never said they would be fraught with tremendous fraud. What they said is the chance of mail-in votes being more fraudulent than in-person votes is higher by like 0.0000025%. Well, 13%, because it was 15%, something like that.
They're very dangerous?
They're not very dangerous. They're not venomous. As long as you pick them up by the tail, your ballot will not bite you. It's best to approach slowly, lay on the ground and show it your belly. That way you can bond with it on its terms, of course. But some, if you've been voting for more than 15 years, some of your ballots can chimp out. They can be like an adolescent chimpanzee, and they'll tear your face off. You have to be very careful with these mail-in ballots.
It's almost impossible for even semi-crooked politicians to resist the temptation to use it for
What, semi-crooked? It's almost impossible for even semi-crooked politicians. These are the derivations they're in. Basically, this is Rudy Giuliani confessing to voter fraud when he ran for mayor, just for the record.
Ballot stuffing. We were warned by President Jimmy Carter. We were warned by former Secretary of State Jim Baker in a report, very, very consequential report.
When was that? When was that report put out?
That we should never do it, and if we
should never do it. Yeah, the consequential report he's talking about doesn't say we should never do it. Doesn't even come close to saying that. But okay,
do it. It should be extremely limited to the real absentee situations.
Yeah, you should only. They're very dangerous, and you should only put people who are indigent or disabled or have moved or in the military in true danger.
Like we have done in the past.
One would say that in the past, we weren't voting during a pandemic.
We were warned by Justice Souter in the Supreme Court, warned by many, many experts, Republican and Democrat. Democrats used to be against mail-in ballots.
Yeah, in the 1920s.
Like they were against everything else until President Trump was for it.
I'm sorry, what is Trump for that I'm all of a sudden miraculously against? I was yelling, build that wall back in the 90s like every other Democrat. I was saying, remember when all of us used to sit around as Democrats and go, Mexico's sending all those rapists and murderers and drug dealers over here. I tell you. And then all of a sudden Trump's like, they're rapists and murderers. Like, wait a second, I'm a Democrat. Whatever it is, I'm against it.
Which gives you a sense they're not thinking about the country.
Well, create false premise, build argument on false premise, act astounded when false premise plays out in your own skull. That's it. That's the whole thing, really? And then we got to look at Carter Page. Kiss my ass. Okay, and then, all right, so that's the 1 second. That's 56 seconds. This one's 1:09. So this is a real argument.
The key fraud is the mail-in ballot.
Didn't we just hear that? Are we doing two of these? The key fraud, run this by me again. The key fraud is mail-in ballots. Here we go.
That was the backup in case they fell too far behind. That's why.
Fell too far behind in the in-person voting during a pandemic? What?
They cut off the vote at midnight, 1 o'clock, when President Trump was getting too far ahead.
They cut off the vote at midnight when Trump was getting too far ahead. Follow what he's saying here. This is hey everybody, no. We hit the magic number. Everybody stop counting, step away from your desk, and walk out the door. Don't ask any questions. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, even though you've been signed up and doing this job for years, and many of you, half of you are Republicans. Get back, blah, blah, blah. Don't touch anything. Hands up, walk out, go to the, excuse me, if you see one of the men in black, they will hit you in the face with a flashy thing.
Particularly in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, in Wisconsin, and also in
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Why do I have a quicker grasp of this asshole's case than he does?
So they cut off the vote.
They didn't cut off the vote. They kept counting. The cutoff came, and the appearance of the spike that you have a problem with was at midnight. These states, largely controlled over the years by Republicans, it set up a system where you couldn't start counting or receiving, in some cases, the mail-in ballots into the counting area until after Election day had ended midnight on that night, and magically, a spike appears.
Getting up to 800,000 in Pennsylvania, 300,000 in Michigan.
Yeah, and again, not ahead. He's ahead in the counting, not in the voting.
He was even further ahead in Wisconsin.
No, he wasn't. No one, and I don't know why I have to keep reminding everyone of this, no one is ever technically, and this is a trick of language most of the time, even I think Kornacki falls into this. No one is ever ahead or behind in the voting. Okay? They are ahead or behind in the counting. You see the important distinction there? If you start counting on your fingers and you stop after your thumb, according to Rudy Giuliani, your hands are entirely made up of thumbs. Okay.
They cut off the vote. They turned things off. They chased everybody out.
None of this actually happened, by the way.
And then it's not your concern, except for the fact that you got to look at this somewhat in total.
It's not your fault. This isn't your state. Your state legitimately went for Biden, and we can't figure it out, so it's freaking me out. But we had to come down here because no one else will have us.
Total. They started bringing in false ballots.
And this is based on, oh yes, him sniffing his own farts.
We have 3 witnesses to 100,000 of those ballots being brought in at 4:30 in the morning in Detroit with no Republicans around.
Those people were Republicans.
That they knew of.
That they gave a shit about. They're mail-in ballots. These were drop-off ballots, by the way. I know exactly which batch he's talking about. And he's like 100,000 ballots. They all went to Biden. Remember? Biden. Oh, I just saw a bunch of ballots come in, and every single one I saw was for Biden. Didn't you just say earlier in your deposition, in your affidavit rather, that you couldn't see anything? Yeah. Well, how did you see that everyone was for Biden then? Well, they were yelling it. So they were really trying to keep a secret from everyone in the room. Did you? All right. This gets next level dumb. We have 8 seconds left of this clip, and I'm hoping he can bring it home and make it even dumber.
Luckily, we had 2 that stayed behind and a Dominion employee who was willing to be honest. Mm-hmm. Not all of them are honest. The key fraud.
Okay. So there were 2 people in there that he got depositions from. And allegedly, these people in the Dominion person saw stuff they didn't see. Oh, good Lord. I can't. I'm like, all right, we've gone through this.
And I'm going to ask you to fight. And I'm going to ask you to try to implore the other members of your legislature.
Give it to him, Coach. We're down behind. Sure. It's our last time out. Sure, we're down by 117 points, and there's only 2 minutes left in the game. And most of our players were thrown out for shitting on the field, and which is a technical foul. Can we all agree that's a technical foul? Yeah. And but I think we could win it. Rudy. By the way, no one's under oath in this.
Legislature to stand up to this. Do not be bullied. Do not be frightened. Your political career is worth losing if you can save the right to vote in America.
That includes calling bullshit on what you're saying and refusing to go along with it. Because every politician who's calling you out on this nonsense, and by the way, the people he's talking to in Arizona have no power anymore anyways in this process. That's why they can meet with him, because there's nothing they can do. So they can go down, I listened to every word he said. Well, after.
In fact, I may get you a...
Hooray! It's a little spaced out rally. In fact, what?
In fact, I can get you a chapter in Profiles in Courage if you do that. Because...
Is that what he's selling? That's right. Lose your career and your paycheck in the middle of a pandemic and your office. And, of course, go down in history as one of a small group of people who tried to scuttle the election for a tin pot wannabe dictator. because his motor oil sweating attorney who failed in actual court managed to bullshit you in a conference room. But please give up that job, because I can get you your own chapter in Profiles in Courage. Rudy Giuliani, Profiles in Courage.
At times in our history, certain men and women have stepped forward and lost their political career to give us the rights that we have.
And I don't know why it keeps coming back to it. Always wants to feed me after these videos the Carter Page video. That's a curious part of the algorithm there, YouTube.
We are going to ask you as legislators to reclaim that authority and to make sure that the people of Arizona and indeed the people of the United States of America as a whole are not disenfranchised by corruption.
Yeah, we don't
Federalist
want that.
68,
Federalist Papers. Yeah.
Alexander Hamilton talks
All the shit they edited out of the Constitution.
about the method of
Like, oh, we discussed all this stuff and what it would mean and what it kind of means, and we call these the Federalist Papers. I mean, it's like taking the parts of a news story that they cut out because they were not provable or turned out to be false, and going, but they did at one point consider, right?
choosing our chief magistrate, our president of the United States. And
Our chief magistrate. All right.
that this safeguard of vesting that authority exclusively with the state legislatures is the safeguard to making sure that corruption does not win. And when the vote of the people and the voice of the people is corrupted through influence, through fraud,
Yeah, because God knows you can't fraudulently influence or corrupt state legislature. Like, yeah.
then it is the responsibility,
Isn't that actually what you're trying to do right now?
the duty, and the obligation, not just the choice, but the actual duty and obligation of the legislature to step in and to make sure that you don't certify false results. You are the last step to make sure.
It's so important. It's so important. Does she actually believe herself? No. She does not believe what she's saying. What she believes is that the money keeps flowing as long as the fight continues. That's 100% what this is about. Because their argument, I guess, in Arizona, it seems to be that she's the RNC's legal advisor, and she also works with the Trump campaign. Their argument is that the fact that the Arizona legislature handed over their power of choosing the electors, like Pennsylvania did, to either the Board of Elections or to the Secretary of State or what have you, that by doing that, it's a violation of the Constitution, which is ridiculous. Literally, we just saw this yesterday, for Christ's sake. Rudy Giuliani is reading out loud that they may choose the manner in which they choose the electors. And the manner in which they choose the electors is to establish a board or give power to the Secretary of State to choose them. That's how you do it. This is how, yeah. Am I wearing a bracelet? No, it's a little red string summer tied on me.
That this election is not corrupted. And again, we aren't asking you to step
You're asking them to corrupt the election.
in and overturn an election. We are asking you to step in to make sure that the corruption that occurred here does not stand.
What corruption? The corruption at the Ramada? Terrible. You're supposed to get cornflakes as part of your, and you get down there to like at 9:03 and they're gone. Bullshit.
So my vote.
So your vote is secure. Oh, this makes me worried. The title of this video: your vote is not as secure as your Venmo account. Well, that's reassuring. Tell me.
Is only as good as the integrity of Dominion and all the hackers that exist that can get into the Dominion machine.
All the hackers that exist that can get into the Dominion machine, which means physically in the room with it, I suppose, and 7 minutes alone with the chip where they can play with it. Is this the allegation now? We didn't see it. Nobody's alleged it. Doesn't actually exist in any of the logs anywhere. But, it could have happened, and that's enough to throw out an entire election. So I agree. We should go revote 2016 because I think Hillary won.
Your vote is not as secure as your Venmo account.
Pardon me? Say that one more time.
Your vote is not as secure as your Venmo account.
Can you think of any reason why anyone would hire them to count votes in the United States?
I could postulate a lot of...
Or any of them good reasons?
They have a strong lobby. They work with the government. They work with state government agencies, and they've got the infrastructure to sell their services.
That was supposed to be a gotcha. Your vote is not as secure as your Venmo account. It's also not a right, and your Venmo account can be seized by the IRS. Your vote can't. So I don't. But yeah. So
my only concern is
this one is witness at Arizona hearing says she was refused observation of at least 2,000 duplicate ballots, which apparently she observed because she believes them to be duplicates.
the handling of the ballots, which makes them ineligible to go through the machine correctly. But it's the room before me and the room after me it's a concern. I don't get to see.
Well, let me ask you about that. So a certain number of ballots were now put aside as duplicates.
Yes.
Duplicates means that they had a problem.
Yes, that they have to be duplicated.
Right.
So
it didn't mean there were two ballots.
Right. That's what
Duplicates
they call
can
them.
sound like two ballots. What
Right.
it meant was there's something wrong with it, and therefore we may have to duplicate it.
Yes, and that's the room that I was originally
And they were put aside.
put aside,
And they were
taken
brought
out.
into another room, and
two people.
you were not allowed to go in there.
No, I was not allowed to go back there.
So you were cut off from that also.
Yeah.
You mean because it wasn't your job? Because the purpose of being a poll watcher or volunteering to vote or working at any of these things is to do the job you're supposed to do, and you aren't there to just be a mole for one of the campaigns to deny people the right to vote because you can move around freely. I think the good news is that randos couldn't move around freely within the electoral process.
Yes. I was specifically
You were cut off from
taken
observing
out.
the problem ballots.
Yes, I was specifically taken out of that room, ushered out.
Why were you in there in the first place? Who are you? Why would you presume to be allowed in every place? What if you were there to mess with the ballots somehow? How do we know you weren't there to actually eliminate, dispose of, destroy, or defraud the ballots in some ways? Would it have been of any concern? This is my question. Would it have been of any concern to anybody at this panel if anyone who wanted to was allowed to wander unsupervised in and out of every room of a private vote tallying by the government? By volunteers in this, anybody who hadn't taken an oath to protect the ballot, and so you'd be cool with, I should be able to get up from where I am and just kind of go anywhere, right? I mean, if there's ballots in boxes, I should be able to take them out to my car and urinate on them. Why wasn't I? What are they trying to hide?
And brought into this room, which really was just the room, as I explained.
And how many could you estimate that is?
Each
Not a real number, but make one up.
table would have an average of, let's see, I would say
Yeah, it's about, honestly, this, look at the series of hand gestures. Describe how many. Give me a number. Watch
How many
this.
could you estimate that is?
each table would have an average of,
That,
let's see,
that, this,
I would say
don't-
maybe,
Seriously. Look, honest to God. Look at the, yes. This is our estimate. The variety of hand gestures here was
an average of,
I
would say
that's it. Eep, up, like, what in the fuck?
maybe 1/16 of the pile. So, let's say an average of maybe 10 to 20 ballots. But by the time I left,
10 to 20 ballots. Okay.
These bins were filled. They would fill them, they would go correct them or whatever it is that they did and brought them back.
Best estimate.
I would
Yeah, just make up a number. Just do this again. Maybe this one. Just he doesn't need. Do you have a slide rule handy? Can we get a stack of papers so that she can make an eyeball guess?
say my guess would be
2,000.
close to the day that I was there, just in 5 hours, maybe 2,000 ballots.
Okay.
Maybe. Could be.
My only concern
That sounds legit. I believe that, right? 10 to 15, 1/16 of 10 to 20 ballots, but 2,000 and this much. I mean, honestly, if you really think about boink. This is, no one is under oath in this, by the way. No one is being cross-examined. But the pretense is that that's what's happening. Good Lord.
concern is the handling of
Yeah. Okay. So let's hop back. These are the key moments. By the way, these are the pieces the Trump campaign wants you to see. Out of all of it, this shit's it's still live. They're still doing this nonsense. So the Trump campaign is still wanting you to they're like, yeah, we don't want them to miss this moment because they put it on their page, right? To raise money for their thing. Okay. So this one is Witness. This one's called Witness Plays Calls Witness. Plays calls of Arizonans who were issued mail-in ballots but say they did not request them. I didn't want a mail-in ballot. Why have I got a mail-in ballot? This is the witness. I don't know why he's a witness. Can I get? And why is he recording phone calls of Arizonans? Huh?
Hello, this is Mary Kemper with Voter Integrity Fund.
Bro. I don't know what that is like. Hey, I got it working. And these are ripped audios of what? And by the way, again, no one's under oath, especially these callers. So I don't know what we're supposed to take from these other than someone recorded their voice. Okay. Let's do it. Play it.
Hello, this is Mary Kemper with Voter Integrity Fund. May I please speak to Charles?
This with Voter Integrity. Hi, I'm calling you from Voter Integrity Fund. May I speak to Charles?
Voter Integrity Fund. Charles Mart's in the state of Arizona and is having requested an absentee ballot. Did you request an absentee ballot?
Absolutely did not.
No. Okay, and did you? Okay, no. Okay, somebody from our team will follow up with you, and can you please give us the best phone number? Is it this?
So I'll play for you the second example.
That's a great example of this lady calling and saying, we have you marked down as requesting an absentee ballot from the Voter Integrity Fund or whatever. Did you request one? No, I absolutely did not. Okay, click.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Is this Zofa?
Yes.
Hi. My name is Taj. I'm with the Voter Integrity Fund. In the state of Arizona, it said that you requested the absentee ballot. I'm just making sure that you requested that ballot.
No, I did not request an absentee ballot.
Okay. Somebody from our team will follow up with you. Is this a good number to follow back up with you on?
Yes.
All right.
Wait. Guys, I'm convinced. That's all I needed was that a random activist from the Trump campaign Voter Integrity Fund thing that they did called people up who were on a list as Republicans, probably who were going to vote in person, and asked them, hey, it's listed here that you requested an absentee ballot. Do they have copies of that request, that fraudulent request? Seriously, what? Yeah, and I don't know what the follow-up is. Seriously, how in the world? Again, nobody's under oath. I don't know that nobody on that recording said, I'm recording this call. Is that okay? Like, nobody said that. So I don't know what the hell. Like, this sounds like they just kind of made these. And the dude's like, bro, listen to that audio. Kaboom.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time, and you have a good day.
Amazing. I don't know why. How did that not? I mean, that in and of itself is kaboom. What's this? Okay. Dr. Shiva Ayudarai presents his data. His data. Look at this. Cumulative votes by precinct. Okay. You mean the part where mail-in votes and in-person voting intersects? Let's see.
This iteration.
All these, by the way, are clips from OAN that the president's team has put together. They don't have their own camera there, which is super weird.
Process, again, with the computer was done, and the only one that we were able to come close to matching was this. And I want everyone to look at this carefully. So out of all the potential universe, which we've done, and we're going to continue doing this, by no means is this done, we find that the interesting possibility we find here is when the Democrat percentage is 130% Mr. Biden and negative 30% Mr. Trump, and the Republican percentage is 0, 100, the independent is 30%, 58%, libertarian 0, 60, 60, 0. But what's extraordinary about this graph, again, we went through many, many, many iterations. It matches perfectly, near perfectly. The slopes match, the curves match, the shape match. So what this tells us is that
you made up that you realize that you can add 2 and 2 to make 4, but you can also add 1 and 3 to make 4. Is that what we're learning? And 2 plus 3 minus 1 could also equal. So you're telling us all, King Scientist, that there are multiple ways to arrive at a sum, especially if you get to make up the input?
This demographic distribution of allocation of party affiliations is what can generate this. And I find it highly implausible because this means that Mr. Biden got 130% of Democrat voters and negative 30%, and President Trump got negative 30%.
Why did you stop there? What the hell? Their argument is based on the idea that Biden turned out 30% more Democrats than when? What's the percentage based on? The existence of human beings? Is that what they're alleging? Because they're not. Oh, Wisconsin just certified Biden. Ta-da! While this is going on. Uh-oh, they've got an expert witness. Let's see.
If you could just...
This is one minute of expert witness. This is the part of, by the way, that last little chunk of math that you just saw is fart air and is crazy nonsense. And I don't know why you would sever that chunk and go, there is no way that, like, the only way this mechanic works out is if Biden gets 130% of Democrats and Trump gets negative 30%, which is just doofy. And I guess they're going with mail-in ballots versus in-person voting. They don't say. I mean, there's no baseline. Just play the clip. It looks like there's 130% of 100% of people. Oh, God. They're not in court. None of this is in court. It's in a friggin' Ramada.
Tell us in your, in the simplest way possible, as an expert.
Yeah, layman's terms for the people who, when they're using GPS to find the Four Seasons, end up in a parking lot next to a dildo shop. For those kind of people. If you could break the argument down.
What is your opinion as to the validity?
Your opinion as to the validity. All right, this will be good.
Of the numbers that were certified today.
What is your opinion as to the validity of the numbers that are certified as an expert in layman's terms for the simple-minded? Here we go.
By the Secretary of State and the governor about this election.
If I was an executive at a publicly traded company, I would never sign that because I risk jail time and having all my money taken from me in lawsuits. So to answer your question, I would never, ever have certified. I'd rather resign than have certified those results.
Gee, it's almost like you're dancing with the dude that brought you. What if I were to tell you that there was an inversion of your belief system, that if you refuse to certify duly elected officials, you would be in violation of the law and you would go to jail. I mean, I know you have a one-way fantasy. I get it. Yes, Rudy is talking to this dude.
So your professional opinion is that the numbers are fraudulent?
I believe they're fraudulent based on the data. And my sister asked me a simple question this morning. She goes,
This will wrap it up for us. This is the part where we're all going to understand it. This is kind of... By the way, it's nice to know that Rand Paul's barber has other clients.
how sure are you? And my sister's a pretty stubborn person like me. And I said, I'd be willing to put my life on it. I'm that sure about the analysis, assuming that the data that I got from the state and everything else was accurate.
Uh-huh. The data that I got from the state and everything else. Everything else would be Rudy Giuliani and the Trump campaign. That would be the everything else. You take the state's data, and then everything else. Assuming that all of it, like that big elephant turd of data, is actually a cantaloupe, I'll just crack it open and eat it.
So, if you're giving me all inaccurate data from everywhere, then, that's my only caveat.
Yeah, you could just that would be the caveat. Yeah, if you're giving him inaccurate data or cherry picking the data, that would be the thing. There you go. Yeah. Red, red wine. I'm almost accidentally adding these things to cues when I play them, which is really aggravating. Here we go. This is the big one. This is the most recent one.
The Wednesday before.
This one's called They Thought They Were Done Counting Ballots, and then more truckloads of ballots were coming in. They thought they were done. Why? I guess if we're going to go to Occam's razor, if we're going to go to the basic breakdown, why would they presume that they were done? Right? That would be the primary question. Why would you presume you were done if there were obviously outstanding ballots to be counted? Who gave you the impression that, quote unquote, you were done?
Or the Friday that we quit voting, so 10 days before they quit tabulating, they thought they were done.
Okay, wait, back up. What was this whole process?
The Wednesday before the Friday that we quit voting, so 10
The Wednesday before the Friday that we quit voting.
days before they quit tabulating.
Mm-hmm.
They
tabulating.
thought they were done. And then more truckloads of ballots would come in, and I'm like, how can you not know how many ballots are still out there?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. Would you repeat that?
Yeah.
They thought they were done.
They thought they were done
and then there was
times.
There was what?
Multiple times. The people that were running the rooms thought they were done or almost done or were going to be done Wednesday morning, then Thursday morning, then Friday morning. Then it went on the whole next week.
Gee, it's almost like millions more people cast their ballots by mail this year than normal.
And I'm like, I asked the question, I'm like, you don't know how many ballots are still left to come in?
No. Why would you?
So I don't know who does, again, process project management.
Again, somebody, project management, maybe bring one of them in. Maybe they'll tell you. Maybe they'll go by counties and the availability of mail-in ballots versus voting in person, and they didn't know actually until Election Day how many people voted in person, and they also until 3 days to 5 days after the election didn't know how long it would take the ballots that were postmarked on Election Day to arrive and continue to be counted. One would think and Louis DeJoy slowing down the mail might have contributed to how they thought there weren't any more coming in, and then there were more loads of it because they were coming in later than usual because of delays in the mail, not because of delays in the voting. Perhaps. I don't know. Hold on one second. So this is Rudy. Where is he? That's the dude with the phone calls. There we go. And this is Rudy making shocking, I tell you, shocking allegations. Shocking claims is what the Blaze calls them.
Any questions that you want. Colonel Waldron, did you have the opportunity to examine any of the Dominion machines that were used in this election?
Yes, sir. Our team looked at some machines and software up in Michigan.
When?
So you know that Dominion machines were used in Maricopa County to count the vote.
Correct.
And they were also used in Michigan.
Michigan, Georgia, Pennsylvania.
And the machines that you observed, took a look at, were able to examine, were used in the Michigan vote?
Correct.
Ubiquitously or just in certain areas?
Now tell us a little about Dominion. Dominion is
Yeah, their mics are very hot. I don't quite know why.
is a company that makes voting machines and voting calculation machines?
That's correct. They've got full end-to-end election, equipment and software.
Yeah, end-to-end election equipment and software. Okay. And the actual software in the Dominion machine, is that Dominion software or is it someone else's?
Dominion is more of a hybrid. Over the years, they've acquired other voting companies, Sequoia and Premier. Sequoia was spun off of SGO, and
so they bought smaller companies and absorbed them, like Microsoft and Apple and Google have done. You know how like Facebook now owns Instagram.
Premier was spun off of Diebold as a result of the antitrust lawsuit.
Sequoia is the company that was involved in the very serious miscalculation of the Chicago vote in 2007, wasn't it?
I believe that's correct, yes, sir.
And
yeah, they bought the stuff, not the people.
They were using Smartmatic software, right?
Correct. And the software, the licensing agreements are pretty well. It's a good spider chart for all of these companies. They all share a common DNA in the software code.
Dun, dun. So basically, ES&S and Diebold and all the other ones are basically the same machines. They basically use the same. I mean, it's a calculator and a Scantron. They use the same guts as multiple choice tests. But go ahead.
And that company, Smartmatic, their roots are in Venezuela, isn't that right?
Yes, sir. Hugo Chavez was one of the founders, and invested, I think, 28% ownership in the initial setup of.
And he's still pulling the strings from beyond the grave
of the SGO election systems.
And they have been involved in several South American elections that were fixed, altered?
Argentina, Bolivia, Singapore, Venezuela.
So basic and since they were used last time, you're saying that the 2016 election was fixed.
Italy.
I mean,
several.
And just to simplify things, and we can make this available to you, and we have several witnesses that go back to that period of time.
Really? That period of time? What do you mean they go back to that period of time? They were alive in the 90s?
Who were involved in the vote fixing, who have looked at the vote pattern in Arizona and elsewhere.
I see. The pattern, based on the idea that Trump couldn't have lost fair and square, that they've looked at it and it's got to be sketchy.
And said that the pattern matches the way in which...
Yes. When your side loses or the other side wins, you could extrapolate that you believe you were cheated and therefore whatever you want to say.
Dominion and Smartmatic, companies like that, fix votes.
Companies like that. They fix votes. They just do.
Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. They fix votes. Now, nobody's under oath here, and of course this is libelous, but whatever.
And what did you...
What?
Let me ask you this other question.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Don't stay on that track because no one gives a shit and knows what you're talking about, and especially you. But go ahead.
One of the former officials of the United States government, a gentleman named Chris Krebs.
The guy Trump fired via a tweet for saying that these were our elections were sound. Yeah.
Former DHS official. Shortly after the election, he made an announcement that many of these people refusing to take a look at any evidence or relying on. What did he say?
For the record, I listened to what he said, and I have every reason to believe it, and I've looked at all your evidence that you've presented. And the only thing I can say about your legal filings is that they are funnier than the oil dripping down the side of your head.
Mr. Krebs was the director of CISA at DHS, and he basically said that this election was the most secure in history.
Mm-hmm. The most what?
Most secure in
the
history.
Most secure in history.
Uh-huh.
And partially that was because the states do an excellent job of validating voter rolls, and that this equipment is not connected to the internet.
Yep. Oh, ES&S machines were in Texas and other places where Trump won, in Kentucky, for example. But the Dominion machines are not hooked up to the internet. So you have to have physical people willing to commit huge amounts of subterfuge and get caught doing it and go to jail forever.
That was in his...
He said this equipment, which was largely Dominion and several others.
Largely Dominion and several others. Dominion is one of the smaller vote contractors. ES&S and the Diebold offshoots are actually control a lot more of it. But
is not connected to the internet.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, is Dominion on his council?
Dominion was on Mr. Krebs' Election Security Advisory Council.
Yeah, they bring executives from all the companies that the states are hiring to sit around the table, and they are competitors, so they can voice their concerns and the benefits of what they're trying to fix. Like,
is there, and we'll get to it with the witness, is there substantial evidence, not only here in Arizona, but in other states like what we presented in Pennsylvania, that Dominion was in fact connected to the internet?
Are you referring to information other than the user's manual?
Well, let's go back to the user's manual. Tell them about the user's manual.
Answer the question. Is Dominion were the Dominion machines hooked up to the internet?
The Dominion Suite user's manual is about 1.5 inches thick.
Apparently they make it that thick so that no one will read it.
And my team went back to the user's manual
and read it. You mean the published user's manual you can find on the internet? Uh-huh. That's the key to any big secret, I think.
Looked at all the instances where in the user's manual it tells operators to connect the Ethernet cords to the router, and it is the systems are connected to the internet.
And then what evidence do you have that...
For what part of it? To update the system software between elections, to verify them and do a route check and then separate them when the actual voting starts, that's logged in the computer itself?
There actually was connection to the internet.
Based on what?
Our teams looked at spirographs of the Dominion network.
Spirographs. I loved Spirograph. Remember Spirograph, guys? We looked at spirographs. For those of you that don't know, hold on one second. I love the 80s for just 1 second. Hold on. The ads for Spirograph when I was growing up were the shit. There it is.
Amazing. These are just a few of the designs that can be made with Spirograph by Kenner. Change wheels, change colors, make 1 million multicolored designs, each so beautiful your eyes won't believe what your hands have done. Spirograph by Kenner. So much fun you'll never want to stop. Spirograph, the world's most fascinating new toy.
Circles, whirls, and curlicues, and clouds of color.
Spirograph, the miracle drawing set that lets you make...
Most of you don't know,
marvelous designs.
maybe you don't know this, but Hugo Chavez was behind the Spirograph. That's right. He was one of the people. We have witnesses going all the way back to this. And don't get me started on Etch-a-Sketch. Don't even. It was pretty great, actually. Yeah, the Spirographs weren't bad. Eek. We, the witnesses are bringing spirographs
on Election Day and showed the increased web traffic, internet traffic on Election Day for Dominion servers.
The increased internet traffic for Dominion servers.
Election
What?
Day for Dominion servers.
Say that again?
Was connection to the internet.
Our teams looked at spirographs of the Dominion network on Election Day and showed the increased web traffic, internet traffic on Election Day for Dominion servers.
So on election.
So, all right. Let's just let's humor the man for a second. So you run a company, and basically all of your work for the company and all the work that your company does happens effectively every 2 years. And on that day, you're monitoring news and all kinds of other stuff and what you're hearing about your own company. Your internals are going, do we have, if machines go down, do you have to send service people out? Are there IT people that are needed for all these things? And so let me guess. Amazon, I'm just going to go out on a limb here, is in the business of people ordering things online and having them delivered to their house. And today, they are seeing a spike in their server activity. I'm just going to go out on a limb. Seriously. What do you think the chances are that Amazon's servers are spiking today? Now, does that mean that Amazon, because their servers are spiking today, that their delivery people are on everyone's doorstep? Is there a current package being delivered at every millisecond during a spike? Of course not. But on the biggest day that your business is going to be conducting business, every aspect of your company is going on. Every exec is talking to every other exec. All your people in the field are talking to them. They're in charge of this one launch day. Right? That's it. At what other time is there huge amount of server activity in a particular company that basically has 2 days every 2 years that are meaningful to their, maybe include primaries. Let's say they're involved in primaries, that they have 2 spikes in an election year. Do you think the servers at the main company, which by the way is a computer company, that that this is their job, they manage these things and they keep track of and are constantly charting how the votes are working, whether the machines are working, all that kind of stuff, the reports they're getting from the field, people that, that work at the state houses who are contacting them, emails and back and forth. Seriously. Spirographs? The fuck out of here.
Election Day, Dominion was communicating by internet.
Yes, the people at Dominion were using the internet.
Correct.
Contrary
to email each other. And run that by me again, Rudy. Tell me, please. And I love Rudy's understanding of computers.
Communicating by internet.
Wait. Okay. You have to hear the whole thing.
Web traffic, internet traffic.
Web traffic, internet traffic. Nature of that web traffic, Mr. Super Security Professional? Nature of that internet traffic? Anything? Anything at all? Anybody? No?
On Election Day for Dominion servers.
Gee, on Election Day for a company that does elections. Go figure.
So on Election Day, Dominion was communicating by internet.
Huh. That's weird. Guess what? So was I. So were millions of other Americans. Oh my God. You have one job. You think maybe that company's online servers are going to be peaking on that day.
Correct.
Contrary to what Mr. Krebs said or thought.
Nope. Seriously. No. Mr. Krebs did not, that was not in contradiction with what he said or thought. At all. But please tell us about computer boards. Yeah. Why did I say that about spirographs? Because the dude said they had spirographs of data.
That is correct.
So there were no paper airplanes. They didn't use carrier pigeon. The company that does elections for a living had a lot of. It was busy. It was a busy day at the office for Dominion. You think what was the spike in activity for ES&S? Would be the second question. All the other companies that do elections, what was the comparative? And this is a question that would come up in cross-examination if this is his. He'd have to redirect after that. Understand that Rudy says, what happened? Were there spikes in effort? The questions that would come up would be the ones that I asked primarily. One is, are you aware of what that actual activity was? Was it company activity? Were they talking to their people in the field? Were they doing massive, were they FaceTiming with their techs to make sure that shit was going off like it was supposed to, or hearing from secretaries of states that they had machines go down, they had to send texts to people and that kind of stuff. Would that make up for the spike in activity? And then the second one was, did you do a check on what the spike in activity was for all the other voting companies like ES&S that were used? Did they have similar spikes in activity? Why would anybody believe the Texas and Kentucky and Florida elections were secure if they had an equal spike as the one you're saying was there for Dominion? Huh? Fuck, people are dumb.
And tell us now
what email is.
How do they take us through how the vote can be modified?
Yeah, just make it up. Tell us. So you sneak in, you Tom Cruise your way down out of the ceiling. Okay.
And then take us through what you saw in the machine in Michigan, where they did actually modify the vote.
And when was this?
So my background in the military, started off my career as an air cavalry officer, flying helicopters, counter reconnaissance.
Cool. Thank you for your service. A lot of mercs start out that way too, and they end up doing awful things. I'm going to assume the best in your character, but what does this have to do with election security?
I moved later into information warfare as an information operations officer.
Oh, so you're in information warfare, and you've been hired by the current president to conduct a psyop against the American people as a direct order from the president or as a private citizen?
Running psychological operations.
Okay. You mean like this one?
Computer network operations.
Like this one?
Deception.
Like this one? Really? Okay, hold on. Hold on.
As a information operations officer, running psychological operations, computer network operations, deception, operation security, and electronic warfare, special electronic warfare.
Okay, so you're an expert in committing fraud on behalf of whatever president sends you to do it. Cool.
And our team has been researching this specific issue.
Your team inside the government or outside the government? Your private team that's now hired as contractors, or you are part of the government still? You're not wearing a uniform, so I'm assuming that you're outside of it now. But I like how you jumped from doing that for the government to doing that against it. But yeah.
Since August of this year, we are working with another team.
Who's we? Who's we? The campaign?
Team that's been intently working on this voting machine manipulation for about 2 years.
Doing it or stopping it?
When it became apparent in the Ted Cruz and Beto race in 2018, as well as the Kentucky governor's race with Matt Bevins. We saw significant anomalies in those races, and that's kind of the experience or our background working with.
What were said anomalies? That your dude lost?
This system. And I would tell you as an unconventional warfare information operations, information warfare specialist,
that I was proud to be hired by by Mr. Giuliani and paid such a high fee so that I could contribute my skills as a psyops warrior and a fraud expert to help the president fake a win?
The American populace is facing an unconventional warfare scenario. And
from you?
This is information warfare.
From you? I mean, he said this is information warfare. He didn't say, he didn't attribute it to anybody.
Voting systems in the U.S. and Arizona,
both,
and several of the other machines were built to be manipulated. And as the mayor said, they've been used in.
They were built to be manipulated. Okay. So Brian Kemp signed off on these machines because he intended to use a voting machine that was built to be manipulated. Built to be. And now, where he's getting that little slice of fun, by the way, is the idea that the software that was absorbed through the company that they bought out, that was not allowed to do business in the United States anymore, but they bought the assets of, that Dominion bought and kept because it was fire sale prices, started by Chavez, was intended through that software to throw elections for Chavez. That's the premise of this argument. That's where this is coming from. Never mind the fact that, oh, thank you, a beverage. Love you. Hi. Is it chilly or something? Or just cold beverage? I understood. Thank you. That understand that he just said, and we can go back and look at it, but there's really no point. You guys saw it. This dude just said that all of the voting machines share software DNA. So honestly, if his argument is, again, if your argument is that voting machines themselves are sketchy, then why are the ES&S ones, which share digital DNA, according to this asshole, why are they the same? Why are they different? Why isn't there an equal application across all of them? Because they were able to pay ES&S to throw counties for Trump, and it worked, and there was a blue wave that overwhelmed the algorithm, which is their complaint with the Dominion machines.
Elections around the world with questionable results.
Yes, everyone questions the results of an election. Does that make them questionable? No.
And we believe that these same questionable results are present in this election.
Well, you're paid to believe that. And you're an info war specialist, and you're an expert in deception. And at what point am I supposed to believe you?
Again, my background as an information warfare officer is how to get in and corrupt these machines to...
Okay, so that's your job. You're a security specialist. So basically, he's one of these guys who comes up and goes, I don't care what kind of locks you got on the house, I can get in through a window. Your house is not secure. Yeah, but I could always, shoot you if you come through the window. I've got these lights. I can turn those lights off. Nothing is truly secure. So what are you suggesting? I'm suggesting you let me set up your security system. Well, you're the dude who's threatening crawling through my fucking window. Yeah, but I wouldn't. How do I know? Because I used to do that. I don't do it anymore. Jesus Christ.
To conduct strategic influence operations.
You mean like this one? Seriously, what the hell?
How do I
tell you guys that I'm literally here doing what I'm warning you about?
Get the enemy or targeted population in a foreign...
You mean the American populace right now?
...country to think and act a certain way.
Right. Which is what you're doing right now. Holy shit.
These machines have multiple points of injection that are vulnerable.
So does that room, but you've got your back to 6 doors. Have you got a death wish? No, you have base assumptions about the rest of the property and the warnings that are there, and you live your life, and you stand in line at Starbucks, and you complain about your order, and yes, someone could run in the door with a machine gun and shoot everybody, but the likelihood is so low that you write that part of it off. But please, continue with your information warfare.
Everywhere from the server level, where passwords, accesses are posted for the dark web for any hacker to get in and access them. And what they can do at the far, far right limit is download CSV files or like an Excel spreadsheet, change the columns, and re-upload them. And
they wouldn't match the paper ballots that Dominion uses as reference. And there would be a log that would recognize the breach. That's how they find those things. Do you have any evidence as a diffs info specialist that this occurred in any way?
That can be done at the server.
Yeah. Yes. And people can parachute in and kill everybody in that room with ricin. Why aren't you in the basement with your head up your ass? Aren't you smart enough to be afraid? Seriously. What the hell? This is, yeah, agreed, Amy. This is just goofy. But again, this is, understand what this dude just told you. Then he's an information warfare specialist who his expertise is in committing fraud and making a group, like members of the public in a country believe a narrative that is false. That's his job. It's always been his job. Is data analysis his job? No. And as a security person, like, I know it's possible to break into these machines. Yeah, it's possible. Do you have evidence of it actually happening? No. But the sheer possibility means we throw it all out. Well, how do we know that their kids weren't being held hostage when they showed up to vote in person and that their vote in person wasn't fraudulent? This is just goofy. This dude is literally an expert in committing fraud. He's paid by the Trump campaign. It's a shit. Good God. And he's not a hacker. He's a network info specialist or some shit. He's not, this dude doesn't code anything. His own, like, the passwords are on the dark web for anybody to get. The dark web itself is 80% FBI at this point. The dark web. Get the fuck out of here. Just say server again so everybody goes, oh, not a server. Who has their own servers? Real estate people? God damn, this is dumb. No wonder nobody's under oath.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Maria. Maria Bartiromo, the ball cradler to the man.
It is great to
I don't know why there's feedback on this line, but yeah.
have you, and I want...
Oh, Scott Atlas resigned? Whoa. What about my nuts?
I want to say that Americans...
That's amazing. Did anybody say why?
Today have a lot of questions this morning, Mr. President.
Do you smell as bad as you look these days?
Hope that you can be as precise as possible and we can...
Cut. Yeah, Maria, it's me in the booth. Yeah, you can't ask him to be precise. Yeah, it's just not in his skill set. Yeah, just fluff up some abject vagaries and just let him screw up which state is which. Yeah, and just let it roll, baby. Go for it.
Get through as much as possible this morning. Thank you.
Yeah, let's get through as much as possible.
Thank you for talking with us in the first interview since Election Day.
Yeah, where else is he going to go? Everybody else is like, get out of here.
Mr. President, you've said many times that this election was rigged, that there was much fraud.
Much fraud.
And the facts are on your side. Let's start there.
Let's start there. Really?
Please go through the facts.
Yeah, please go through the facts. Let's hear them. Here they come. Right out of the gate, he is giving his first interview since the election. Let's go. Facts, sir. Be as specific as possible.
Characterize what took place.
Well, first of all, I have to start by saying the whole world is watching. And
Yes, they are. And they're laughing at you, and they're sighing relief that you lost, and they're looking forward to working with Biden, and Yes.
Nobody can believe what they're saying.
Yes, they can't believe that an American president would be this much of a jackass.
And you have leaders of countries that call me and say, that's the most messed up election we've ever seen.
Yeah, name one. What, Bibi Netanyahu?
You start with these machines that have been suspect, not allowed to be used in Texas.
Maybe the ones in Texas are the sketchy ones.
The Dominion machines, where tremendous reports have been put out. We have affidavits from many people talking about what went on with machines. They had glitches. You know what a glitch is?
What's a glitch? Tell us what a glitch is.
A glitch is supposed to be when a machine breaks down. Well, no, we had glitches where they moved thousands of votes.
A glitch is supposed to be where a machine breaks down, but in this case, they moved thousands of votes.
My account to Biden's account.
I didn't realize were dollars, not votes. I like that he used the word account. I think that's very telling.
And these are glitches. So they're not glitches, they're theft.
That was a input error, I think, in that county, and it was a county that you won last time, and you won it again by 2,500 votes.
They're fraud, absolute fraud. And there were many of them, but obviously most of them, tremendous amounts, got by without us catching. We got lucky to catch them. I think we caught 4 or 5 glitches of about 5,000 votes each.
Oh, don't forget, you also paid $3 million in Wisconsin to catch the fact that Biden had more votes sitting around. I think that would qualify as a glitch. It's an expensive glitch, obviously. Because understand, every time he's made this case that every time something goes screwy, I lose votes. Why is it always my votes that get lost in the mix? Why is it always mine that somehow... Well, there's two reasons why that would be. The main one is that in red counties where there would be a glitch and it would be obvious that Biden would be losing votes, they just don't care. They're throwing the election for you and they're trying to help you, and so they ignore the glitches. And they only get fixed in other areas, and they're honest about fixing those glitches. So the only time that shows up is when they go their way. And the other one is, of course, that you spent $3 million to fix a quote-unquote glitch in the Wisconsin counting, and it turned out you'd lost more votes. Oh, it's glorious.
And different states, and again, they're not glitches. That was fraud, and they got caught. But for the most part, they got away with it.
Okay, all right. Again, these are facts, folks. I hope you're taking notes. There will be a quiz. For the most part, they got away with it.
And what happened, if you watched the election, I was called by the biggest people saying, congratulations, political people.
Big political people. The biggest political people called me. The political equivalent of a girlfriend in Canada. I'm sorry, but the biggest world leaders were calling me going, this is ridiculous. The biggest political people were calling to congratulate me. Get out.
Congratulations, sir. You just won the election.
Is that what they said at 10 o'clock at night?
It was 10 o'clock, and you looked at the numbers, and I'm sure you felt that way.
No, she was watching the news. She was checking. I mean, Fox had already called Arizona. They knew it was going to be a long night.
This election was over, and then they...
No, it wasn't. This election was over. I said you should never count Biden's votes.
Did dumps. They call them dumps, big, massive dumps.
Sorry.
Election was over, and then they did dumps. They call them dumps, big, massive dumps in Michigan.
Yes, we know you took a big, massive dump in Michigan. We recognize that you, on election night, in his trousers, Trump took a big, massive dump.
In Pennsylvania.
Big, massive dumps. Get the fuck out of here.
And all over.
Just everywhere. Just big dumps everywhere.
If you take a look at... you just take a look at just about every state that we're talking about.
Yeah, just look at all the states we're talking about. There were big, massive dumps taken everywhere. You mean boxes of votes from people who voted.
Swing state that we're talking about. And they did these massive dumps of votes.
Sorry.
And all of a sudden, I went from winning by a lot to losing by a little.
Imagine how Hillary Clinton felt in the states there where the Jill Stein voters handed you this shit, asshole. Get used to the idea.
And in some cases, it took a period of time to do it. North Carolina, they couldn't do it. I won North Carolina.
Yeah, you won North Carolina. And?
They couldn't, somehow they had a better system, but they couldn't do
it. It's the same system.
Anything. I believe they tried. We have affidavits.
Please let there be a book after he leaves the White House and he's trying to make money where, Donald Trump reads affidavits, where it's literally a book on tape of him reading the affidavits from this. I would buy it. I would have to own it. Mainly so I could make a puppet show out of it, but still.
But they couldn't do anything with really a great place, North Carolina. We appreciate the incredible work they put in, and we won. But they did tens of thousands of Biden votes. And all of a sudden, I went from, and I could tell you the people that were calling me, congratulating me, are people that you know very well, friends of your show.
Yeah, name one.
They said it's over. I said, well, I hear bad things about the machines. I hear bad things about corruption. One of your great pollsters who actually got it right, you know the gentleman I'm talking about, he said, well, Trump is going to win Pennsylvania, but you have to allow at least 5% for cheating because they cheat.
Right.
And that's in Philadelphia and various areas around Philadelphia. They cheat, and they cheat like crazy. So we have him winning Pennsylvania, but you have to allow 5 points for cheating.
5 points. 5% is the cheating level in Pennsylvania. All right.
This is a terrible thing that's happened. The mail-in ballots are a disaster.
Terrible.
They said,
all these people being allowed to vote?
Millions and millions and millions of mail-in ballots. I'm sure you know people that got 2, 3, or 4, because I do, where they said, we got 4 ballots. They got one at a country home. Dead people were seeing ballots.
They got one at a country home. Something we can all relate to. I received an extra ballot at the summer home. Yes, it wasn't directed at me, of course not. I received mine at our main mansion. All the ballots come to the chef's quarters and they bring them in on a pallet. But at our summer home, we received a ballot for a girl who had died 3 summers ago. Well, we don't know really what happened. She was dating Charles and the family wouldn't have it, but we arranged for some things. But before we could snatch her up and deliver her to her true place in society. That's what I call the trash pit by the rail yard where we dump all the ne'er-do-wells. She apparently had registered to vote. I don't know.
Ballots, but even worse, dead people were applying to get a ballot.
Oh my God. Zombie dead people applying. Oh my God.
They were making application to get ballots. Many.
Horrible. They applied for it. Oh, yeah. It wasn't that they had applied for one and then died, or had always gotten a mail-in ballot because they were probably homebound and then died. Did the dead person die, then request one, then fill it out, then send it in? Please show us that. Besides the 2 Trump supporters that voted for their dead mothers.
And you know what?
For you.
We're not talking about 10 people. We're talking, there are a lot of dead people that so-called voted in this election.
A lot of dead people that so-called voted in this. Yeah. There. Yeah. Please, by all means, sir. Present one. I mean, there's tens of thousands. Please She's been asking for details, facts, evidence, not assertions, not allegations. One. Name them. I mean, seriously. You don't think if they had them by now that Giuliani and Trump would be going, this person is dead and they voted and here's the proof and it happened and this is their cousin that lives in their house and they like, one name. Tens of thousands is his assertion. I'd understand if there were like 100 and you're like, I don't know, they're all happening in Wisconsin. I don't know. There's weird up near the Canadian border. I don't know.
But dead people.
And name one.
Were in some cases, in many, many cases.
Oh, it's what? Yeah, some cases, but many, many cases. Please never pass up an opportunity to exaggerate your bullshit. I mean, what are you going to lose? Does it become more of a lie because it's ridiculous?
Thousands of cases.
Yeah, many thousands.
Voted, but also dead people made application to vote. They were dead 10 years, 15 years, and they actually made application. This is total fraud. And
name one.
How the FBI and Department of Justice, I don't know, maybe they're involved.
Yeah, that's what it is. The FBI. That's who's really behind this. The DOJ. Bill Barr is orchestrating this with Dominion and the ghost of Hugo Chavez. Good God. What kind of glue-sniffing horseshit is this? Can you imagine? I mean, honestly, there is a little bit of small joy in watching the Republican president turn on law enforcement after screaming law and order nonstop.
But how people are allowed to get away from this stuff with this stuff is unbelievable. This election was rigged. This election was a total fraud.
Okay, that's a detail, right? Did you guys write that down? Because that's evidence right there. He said it's rigged. He said it's a total fraud. He said tens of thousands, many thousands. People were dead ghosts.
And it continues to be as they hide. And the problem we have, we go to judges and
they look at the evidence, what little evidence you try to present, and they go, this is horseshit and conjecture and psychopathology.
People don't want to get involved. The media doesn't even want to cover it.
I'm covering it. Sure. I don't qualify as media. I'm just a man standing in front of the public trying to bring them joy in one of the darkest winters of our lives and trying to help everybody have a little sense of humor about the insanity that we currently live in and the horror show that's just outside our window. But I mean, I was Zoltan, for crying out loud. I think I qualify as media at this point. I mean, honestly. And here I am, covering your bullshit every day.
I mean, you're doing something. You're actually very brave because...
No, she's actually very lazy and stupid and deluded.
You're doing something.
Thanks, Paula.
The media doesn't want to talk about it. They know how fraudulent this is. It's no...
Yeah, he just said it's fraudulent, guys. Come on. He said it's fraudulent. Did you not look at your paper? Look at the paper in front of you right now. Did you not write it down? He wrote down rigged, fraudulent, thousands, many dead people. Right? Look, read it. You wrote it. It must be true.
No different than Hunter.
It's no different than Hunter. Now it's Hunter Biden and Hugo Chavez. And Jesus.
It's no different than Hunter. They don't want to talk about Hunter. So they totally closed it off, big tech and the media, other than the New York Post, as you remember, which took a lot of heat. It was terminated. It was terminated.
Was it now? It was terminated. Yeah, no, they're a newspaper. They printed it. It was their cover story. They are their own newspaper. Their First Amendment rights were not violated in any way. The government did not step in and say they couldn't do anything. Other organizations thought that they were pushing Russian propaganda, and rightly so, and refused to help them do it.
From, I guess, Twitter, maybe Facebook.
She says. Yep.
But it's a situation the likes of which we don't have freedom of the press in this country.
We don't? you're talking on a major network right now, and the New York Post printed their cover story.
We have suppression by the press. They suppress. You know, you can't have a scandal if nobody reports about it.
Huh? You can't have a scandal if nobody reports. I agree. Why didn't people? And I'm talking to you, Page 6. You guys knew all about Cosby and Jeffrey Epstein hanging out with Trump and partying with him, right? You knew all about these assholes. You knew about Harvey Weinstein. Did you report on it? Did you do anything about it? No. You chased around Brad and Angelina or Jennifer Aniston and wondered who's dating who. Why should they be? Who's allowed to do? I can't believe they're. Did you hear that they made a phone call? But you know that stuff. You'll chase people down to get pictures of their kids in their strollers, endangering their lives. But you sit on the Weinstein story. You sit on the Epstein story. You sit on Cosby. You sit on Trump's stuff, all of his sexual assault allegations. You sit on it all during, yeah. Why do we have suppression by the press?
This is the great.
Why did we have to wait so long into Trump's presidential campaign for the Billy Bush tape to come out? Why didn't that come out when it actually happened? Seriously. Why didn't somebody running that segment go, Jesus Christ, look at the B-roll.
Greatest fraud in the history of our country from an electoral standpoint.
Yeah. From a governing standpoint, that's you.
And I guess you could build it up bigger than electrical. What's
Yeah, it was bigger than electrical. Absolutely.
Bigger from a electoral standpoint? What's bigger than this? This is the essence of our country. This is the whole ball game, and they cheated. Joe Biden did not get 80 million votes.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Now we were planning. I got 63 million votes 4 years ago and won quite handily in the electoral college.
Mm-hmm.
Won quite handily. We did very well.
Biden won quite handily in the electoral college this time. I'm glad that you appreciate the electoral college.
Got 63. We were hoping to get 68 or so, and we felt that was a path to an easy victory.
Did you? You felt that? Well, you were wrong.
74 million votes, the largest in the history of a sitting president.
Yeah, and Biden got more votes than any presidential candidate in history, and more. It's almost, and I gotta say, it's almost as if population continues to grow.
So much more, many millions of more than anyone thought, than we were even trying to get.
Yeah, we didn't even want them, honestly. I don't even know why I was in Erie, Pennsylvania. That place is a dump.
And everybody said, this is over.
Did they? Did they really? Is that why you were doing 5 rallies in a day all the way up to Election Day? Because you just felt like it? It wasn't because there was a mad panic that you were looking at the numbers?
I'm telling you, at 10 o'clock, everybody thought it was over.
No.
And then the phony mail-ins started coming in, Maria. But just so you understand, I got 74 million votes. It was over. And then mail-ins started happening. Glitches started happening. This election was rigged. This election is a total fraud.
So these are the details so far, guys. The glitch of 6,000 votes that was user error that got reversed right then. Didn't make it out of the room. Didn't clear any other path. Literally was like, that's not right. Hold on. No. Literally somebody going, oh, shit. No. Hold on. That's what I typed in the number below it. Sorry. That was that. That's the glitch. And it didn't go past the desk.
Mr. President, these are obviously very serious charges, and I want to walk through.
No, they're not. They are fundamentally inserious. They are fart air. They are nonsense. They are bullshit. They are road apples. It's goofy.
Through them.
But please, Maria Bartiromo, please do us all a favor and continue to wind this asshole up.
and ask you how you will prove this in the courts, because as you know, what I've been saying on the air is that elections are the reason that our young men and women go on battlefields across the world and in some cases lose their lives.
Agreed, which is why to everyone watching this, whether you agree with me or not, if you're a Trumpster and a maggot, perhaps you know this and maybe you don't, to everybody else, I would say to you, vote every election. Every 2 years we have a regular election. Sometimes you have little special elections like the one coming up in Georgia. Vote every single time, every single time. It is your duty as a citizen, and it is the way that you show respect for the people who died to give you that right. And the importance of giving that right to other people who can't choose their leaders. And you make the adult choice. You don't just go, I'm going to write in Mickey Mouse because you're an asshole. You choose between the two best options presented to you legitimately. And if you go, well, there's no good choices, then rethink your shit because you're a deluded moron and you're not capable of adulting. And perhaps you should, go see someone that you may not be, mentally mature to match your age or something. But in the process, there's one area where Maria Bartiromo and I are in complete agreement. You vote out of respect for those who died to give you this right, period, end of story.
Because they believe that their vote, my vote, matters just as much as your vote. And if that is not true, this is a very serious turning point for America.
Well, he's trying to make it so that the 80 million who voted for Biden make all their votes not count.
So this is no longer about you, President Trump. This is about...
He's not going to like hearing that, Maria. Of course it's about him. But he is stupid. You think he's trying to save America for Ted Cruz?
About America. And many people agree with you. According to Reuters, 68% of Republicans and 28% of all Americans, that includes Democrats, believe...
No, it doesn't. No. 55. So basically, 55% of 28% of election was the result of illegal voting or election rigging. So 28% of the country, that at least in the polling of this, is the same number as the 55% of Americans that believe it was legitimate, or the 68% of Republicans. So those two numbers, those 55 and the 28, that's the same friggin' people. These are all the same people. Those are the same people. It's not Democrats are in that mix. It's just a wash of it.
Believe there was fraud in this election. So let's go through...
Yeah, but a bunch of them think that you stole Kentucky and Florida.
Some of the states, the 6 states that your team is challenging. What specific strategy does...
The word specific, that's gonna, I'm just gonna hang you up in this whole argument there, Maria. I think it's gonna be all right, keep trying.
Your legal team take going forward...
Your team. You mean Jen Ellis, who isn't, I don't think can practice law in any of these states, and Rudy Giuliani, who asked to be added pro bono to the Pennsylvania cases, and Sidney Powell has been kicked off, and the other 2 weirdos that Trump didn't like because they were disheveled and then fired them and then brought them back on because he didn't have anybody else. What, am I missing somebody? Is Dershowitz now on the case?
Let's start with Pennsylvania. I know you said that you have a pile of affidavits.
Pile. It's a pile now.
That's part of the evidence.
No, it isn't. It's part of the allegations. These people are making allegations. And again, all the affidavits are, if they are legit at all, is these people signing a document under the penalty of perjury that they believe they saw something, not that they did see something. Even the affidavit from the cyber expert dude, literally, what's the one fact that he would, that he's literally in his affidavit saying that he was a specialist in fraud?
What other evidence can you talk about?
Any. That's not evidence.
That will enable you to prove this in court.
He's not going to. Honestly, she looks like she's about to break down. He isn't going to. I'm sorry. to burst your bubble. It's not going to happen.
Coming
I know.
week.
Scott Atlas, I guess Scott Atlas shrugged today.
Sir.
Well, we're trying to put the evidence in, and the judges won't allow us to do it.
We're trying to put the evidence in, and the judges won't allow us to do it. Now, if you file a lawsuit or anything, the judge can't not allow the evidence unless it's reviewed and they see it. It's in the record that it was reviewed and denied as part of the case.
We are trying. We have so much evidence. You probably saw on Wednesday of last week. We had a hearing in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
Oh, amazing.
It was an incredible hearing.
Scott Atlas is Trump's stroke doctor.
Unbelievable witnesses. Highly respected people that were truly aggrieved. A woman came in and she wanted to vote. And they said, no, I'm sorry, you can't vote. You've already voted. Your ballot's in. She said, no, I want to vote on November 3rd. I've been waiting for so long to vote. I'm so proud. I want to vote. They said, your ballot's in. I'm sorry. And that was the story. And she was aggrieved. And you have many people.
She was aggrieved. She was a proud woman. By the way, that woman was one of the people that Trump was saying, look, mail in your vote, but then go in on election day. Don't trust it. Vote in person. She voted twice because the president told her to vote twice. That's why she left. Because she knew she'd already voted. It showed up. That was the whole point.
People like that. Many, many people.
Bullshit.
Like that. At a level that nobody would even believe. And
I agree. I don't believe you. I've looked at it. I've watched Rudy's stupid shit. I've seen his displays. I've went through the entire Kraken that they put online. For Christ's sake, what a bunch of gibberish.
And that's where it is, Maria. That's
just in case you forgot which states he's trying to.
That's one story. By the way, that's one story out of so many different stories.
So many stories. Yeah. Now, why did that lady leave if she hadn't already voted? Why would she? She was aggrieved. Did she not vote? Did she sign? Did she sue? Did she go home and go, Gary, did you mail that friggin' thing? I know I filled it out, but I wanted to vote in person. Did the FBI or anybody go to her house? Did the Trump campaign send anyone to this woman's house and go, who sent in your mail-in ballot? I mean, she obviously, this isn't like ballot harvesting in an old folks' home that we're talking about. This woman was ambulatory and proud of it.
The poll watchers, and this is true with all of the states just about that you're talking about. I think all of them.
Nope.
They weren't allowed to have poll watchers.
No. Every state had poll watchers. Every single state.
The Democrats and thugs. Now, I'm not talking about saying, could you please move over?
Excuse me. I'd like to pardon us. Excuse me, sir, if you don't mind. If you could stay behind the barrier. Yes. We are denying people the right to vote in this room, right? And it just won't be done. Is the good china here? Yes, fantastic. And don't forget, under all fraudulent ballots, put a doily, because some of them are stained. They were wet. They were in garbage pails. I can't believe it.
They threw them out of the counting rooms.
They threw them out.
They weren't allowed to be in. They threw them outside in many cases.
Outside, through a window. It was like Axel Foley all over again.
You heard the story with the people, they went out and sent for binoculars because they wouldn't allow them to watch.
I got to remind me. Note to self, close my drapes.
And during that period of time, a lot of bad things happened.
Oh, terrible. Terrible. A lot of bad things. During the time that they were thrown out, do tell. A lot of bad things. I'm very excited. I love true crime.
Then they closed, as you know, they closed up the voting.
They just closed it up. No more voting. We're not allowing any voting, okay? Why? Because it's after 8:30 on Election Day and polls, that's when we stop voting? Oh.
And then unexpectedly, they closed up all of the counting. Unexpectedly, new ballots came in.
Unexpectedly, mail-in ballots and absentee ballots from each of the areas where they were stored until election day were brought in. Weird.
And it was all new numbers being added.
Yeah. You mean the ones that come in through the mail and that continue to come in through the mail because they can be postmarked on election day? That part?
We have pictures and we have
pictures.
Evidence of new ballots being brought in.
Oh, there they are. Oh, new pictures of new ballots. I see. Let me guess. Am I going to see a picture of paper like a pile of paper of sample ballots on the ground, or am I going to see a picture of a box? Am I going to see a picture of a box? You have pictures of boxes? You don't have video, do you? You don't have video of somebody leafing through them, where they all go Biden, 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 Trump, and Biden, 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 Trump. Nope.
Into counting rooms.
Oh my gosh. You mean where votes are counted?
Maria, there's never been anything like this in history.
Yeah. No, well, obviously we're in a pandemic, so there's a lot more mail-in ballots this time. It's kind of shifts the work, you know. There weren't long lines. That was another thing. You ever notice how last couple of elections we've had a bunch of these situations where the lines around the block? We didn't have that shit this time, did we? No, because we had mail-in ballots coming in, and that cut the lines down a lot. See, with the there were a lot of machines. You don't see that part of it. This was unprecedented. I don't know where all these votes came from for Trump. There were only 2 people in here filling out these things for the last hour.
It all started with the mail-in, but it also goes to Dominion. It goes to a lot of things. But the mail-in...
Yeah, it's just, I mean, honestly, anywhere I lost, fraud. Anywhere I won, pristine, spit-shined.
Millions and millions.
Millions and millions and
millions of ballots being shipped all over. And...
being shipped all over. Were they, or is that where he's getting, like they were shipped to Spain to get counted? Is this what we're doing?
Ballots, as you know, there were a lot of ballots where it was just Biden on top.
Yeah, it's almost like that's all they gave a shit about. It's almost like people went, I don't know about the rest of these people, but Biden, we got to get this dude out.
They didn't do anything else because they were in a rush.
Because they were in a rush. That's what it is. Look, fraud takes time, you guys. This is an art form. Look, Gary, we're trying to create massive fraud right here. It's no time for your perfectionist bullshit. I'm sorry. I've just been... Perfectionism is the main reason I procrastinate. I don't know what I'm thinking.
From what everybody is saying, and from what... I don't think we even have to prove this.
No, you don't have to prove it. Just say it. I mean, come on. It's just our democracy. Just come on. All right.
They say that I was doing so much better than they thought.
Yeah, it's just this is Rudy's theory. You were doing so good, they had to print fresh ballots just to catch up.
That they panicked and they started just doing ballot after ballot very quickly and just checking the Biden name on top.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. And we didn't have anybody, none of our people were allowed to see this, but when they did see it, that's all they saw.
They didn't have time. See,
they didn't have time. They have
these ballots with just one name check. People don't vote that way.
No, you're right. They don't. But your people who are viewing this are making shit up in their heads.
People don't vote that way. They want
people don't do it.
To vote against taxes, and they want to vote for judges, and they want to vote for a lot of other things that you have on a ballot. Different races.
Yeah, why not?
Including Congress.
Could it be that your people who are viewing it only gave a shit about the president's one and only saw that page of it in the one where it had, like in California, where they had, like half a dozen people on the ballot? Could it be that they only saw that page because that's all they gave a shit about? Or they saw one or two and they were like, these are all, I didn't even see any other votes. You see any other votes? I didn't see any other votes. Like, that sound familiar?
And they were just checked up top. Tremendous numbers of ballots like that. And that was done for the sake of speed.
That's what it was. So they were, it was just, not only was it fraud, it was lazy fraud.
We have stories that are unbelievable.
Yes, that's true. You have stories that are unbelievable. Your stories are not believable.
But we're not allowed.
Biden, Trump. Biden. These are all for Biden, Charlie. Biden, 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 Biden. That's all I could hear. I was back over there with my binoculars, and they put me behind a barrier, and I'm watching it, and all I can see is, I can read lips. I'm a specialist in lip reading. I was hired by the campaign, and all I could see was Biden, 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 Biden. You could tell by their lips. They were just, their lips were moving. Biden, 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 dump.
To put in our proof. They say you don't have standing. I said I'd like to file to the lawyers.
You don't have to. Okay, this is going to be his legal argument as to why he has standing. Okay.
Proof. They say you don't have standing. I said I'd like to file to the lawyers. I would like to file one nice, big, beautiful lawsuit.
Yeah, just one nice, big, beautiful. Mwah. Thank you, Georgina. Nice, big, beautiful, gorgeous. Something sexy.
Talking about this and many other things with tremendous.
I just want one big lawsuit with this and many other things, and it'd be mwah.
Proof. We have affidavits. We have hundreds and hundreds of affidavits, like the people that you saw.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of them. They're not impressive.
The other day in Pennsylvania, willing to sign under penalty of perjury. You go.
That they saw what they believed they were seeing, or they believed what they saw they were seeing. I don't even know how to say it. They saw something that they believed was something else, but they truly believed that was what was going on. So they signed an affidavit that they believed they saw something irregular, when that thing was not irregular, but they perceived it as irregular. So they signed an affidavit saying that they thought it was irregular, when it wasn't irregular. That's why it's not evidence.
Go to jail.
Thanks, Carmen.
Willing to sign. Unlike Comey, who didn't go to jail for lying, by the way, and McCabe, who didn't go to jail for lying, which is an amazing thing to me.
It is. Just go. You know what? Go back to. Let's just do 2016 all over again. I mean, let's clear the slate. Honest to God. I mean, I think we'd all be happy to see a big retabulation of the votes in 2016.
Maybe we might as well bring it up. But
yeah, why not? Let's just bring it up.
Under perjury, you go to jail. We have hundreds, getting to be thousands. They're coming in all the time.
They're all over the
place.
These are. I can't name one, but thousands and hundreds of thousands, and it's thousands, and it's over how many.
Respected people. These are people that are putting their lives at risk.
They are. It's super dangerous being a poll watcher.
And they don't want to take the affidavits. Then they say we don't have proof. Risk.
Wait, the people who signed the affidavits are risking their lives? Why? Seriously, why? What is so scary? Who is somebody going to threaten their lives? Are they like? It's so dangerous. Yeah. The only threats these assholes get is when they get questioned and they recant.
And they don't want to take the affidavits. Then they say we don't.
They filed the affidavits. They just don't. They don't amount to anything.
Don't have proof.
That's true. You're good point. Beg your pardon. I have to scroll back to that. Yeah, where is it? Yeah, the poll watchers. It is a sacred duty to get the stock market to sacred 30,000.
I wanted to file one suit. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, against, and put everything.
Against, everything. Just Donald J. Trump against the world. Just you and Trump against the world. Jesus.
Thing in a one simple suit.
One simple suit. Just wrap it up in one big package.
And they say, sir, you don't have standing. I say, I don't have standing. You mean as President of the United States?
That's right.
I don't have standing.
Yes. Well, I'm so glad, Thule, to keep you up in Dublin, Ireland. And you're good people, and I love you. And to the Stileses and everyone else, I love you. And you're wonderful people.
What kind of a court system is this?
It's the one where everybody is treated equally.
And the judges stay away from it.
Yeah, they stay away. Like, I'm leaving. I'm not even leaving my gavel here. You'll get Rudy's hair oil all over my nice gavel that I got when I graduated.
There is out there, Maria, because everyone knows you gave numbers. I had a number, 79%. It just came out. 79% of the Republicans think the election was a fraud.
That's not what her thing said. You just added 10% in the last 2 minutes. She said 69. All right.
And I hear 35-40% of the Democrats.
Yeah, most of us. I mean, most people. I mean, half the. Have we asked the Afghans honestly? What do the Turkish people feel about this? What's the percentage?
But they're not going to put it down anyway because they're not going to say we think it. But I think most of them think it was a fraud.
Yeah, almost everybody. I mean, honestly,
Watch you with Kelly. Look at the election. Look at the election you have coming up right now. You're using the same garbage machinery, Dominion.
That's right. So if you're a Republican, don't vote in Georgia. I'm kidding, of course. I always encourage voting. But this asshole is basically telling all the Republicans in Georgia, like, I wouldn't trust those machines. They'll probably track you. They're probably, if you got a warrant, it's probably going to come up.
And she's going around Abrams. She's going around screaming that she's got 800 or 850,000 ballots.
Okay. I thought we were going to get through this without having to look anything up. I mean, honestly. Let's see. Beg your pardon? Here you go. Let's see. Let's see. Stacey Abrams, 850,000 ballots. That'll come up as a fact check. Trump plans. Let's see. Let's see if they have an answer. This is from CBS 46. Trump calls Georgia Secretary of State enemy of the people. Okay, let's see. Oh, here you go. All right, I'll bring this page up for you. Hold on. This is CBS 46 in Georgia. Trump calls Georgia Secretary of State enemy of the people. This is good. He's a Republican, by the way. His governor's Republican, too. President Donald Trump went after Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger again Thursday last week, who, by the way, just sounds like he should be playing football. Raffensperger for the pulling it back, and that's a solid one. We got a touchdown or whatever. They're going to go. They got to go for the touchback. They only got a couple of seconds and no timeout. He's not even going to look. He hiked it to himself. Look at that. He's kicking it and catching it. Raffensperger is a champ. All right. I told them, Kelly Loeffler and Dave Peru, I said, listen, you have a fraudulent system. Trump told reporters Thursday evening, you have a system with a flick of a switch or the putting in of a new chip can change the course of history. There's no pictures, so I don't know that he's standing over a DeLorean right at that moment. And you have to be careful. Those falsehoods have never been substantiated with any evidence from the president or his campaign in a court of law. But Trump wasn't done making erroneous claims about Georgia. I read this morning where Stacey Abrams has 850,000 ballots accumulated. That's what he just said to her. Now that's called harvesting. You're not allowed to harvest. Abrams hasn't said anything about harvesting ballots. She's repeatedly touted on Twitter how many Georgians have requested ballots for the January 5th Senate runoff. Each tweet is accompanied by links to the Secretary of State's office for citizens to request their ballots. More than 750,000 Georgians have requested their ballots for the January 5th runoffs. Have you? Request yours today and let's get it done again. There we go. Breaking, 900,000 Georgians have requested their ballots for the January 5th runoff. So I guess he's splitting the difference between the 750 and the 900. Request yours today. There you go. Trump then turned his fire on Raffensperger, the secretary, who's really an enemy of the people. Secretary of State, whether he's Republican or not, this man, what he's done, supposedly he made a deal with where she's allowed to harvest, but in other areas they're not allowed. What kind of deal is that? Again, this is a he just makes this shit up in his head. He just literally, he creates a crime in his head and then goes, "Can you believe such a thing is happening?" You're like, no, you just because you thought it up doesn't mean it's actually going on. This is, I mean, he's constantly doing this. And I blame Rudy Giuliani. I mean, Trump's dumb enough to do this on his own, but seriously.
What kind of an election is this? She's going around collecting votes.
No, she's not.
What kind of...
She's encouraging people to vote.
Of an election is it?
It's devastating to my case.
What kind of a country are we living in now where you can vote for months ahead of schedule? And then the other thing
for months ahead of schedule? A month.
We have in Justice Alito, highly respected.
Yeah, totally.
Great man. Justice Alito seems to have big problems, but the election ended and they gave people an extension to vote. That's never happened before.
They didn't give them an extension to vote. They extended the time for the mail to deliver their votes. Your vote still had to be postmarked on Election Day. No one got an extension. You couldn't come in after and vote in person or do absentee voting in Wisconsin, which you can do in person, which I don't know how you do absentee in person, but that's what they call it.
Or,
in other words, bullshit.
The election ended, but we'll give you more time if you...
Way to sum it up, bruh. I love how he says in other words and then says exactly the same thing.
To vote. That's never happened before. In other words, the election ended, but we'll give you more time if you want to vote. And what I understand is they didn't think it was good either, so they backdated all these ballots that came in. They had people, and we have affidavits on that too, they had people backdating ballots so that if somebody came in the 4th or 5th or 6th, which was illegal because the legislature didn't approve it, which everything has to be approved by the legislature.
No.
And they had judges making deals, and they had electoral officials making deals.
Making deals? Like, tell you what do you got? I got 80,000 Bidens. I got 12,000 Trumps. What are you giving me? I can't move the Trumps. I just need the 80,000 Bidens or whatever. Are they complete? Nah, just top line. I can't give you a top dollar for those, Charlie. I tell you what. You give me those 8,000. You give me those 80,000 Bidens with just the top line. I'll give you 5 cents on the dollar for each one of those or whatever. And I'll tell you, like, if you can take the Trump ones and then just run over them with your car to make them messed up, so it keeps the electoral guys busy. You know what I mean? So we'll bring those in. They'll be dirty. They'll go, hey, these are dirty, and they'll spend all day cleaning them and putting them in. And that way we can get the no. Yeah, but what's in it for me? Well, clearly we allow you to run guns across the border into Canada. Deal.
This character in Georgia who's a disaster, and the governor's done nothing. He's done absolutely nothing.
Terrible.
I'm ashamed that I endorsed him. But I look at what's going on. It's so terrible. But what happened in this election, Maria?
Night, Scotland. I love you. Yeah, Bonnie, wee Bonnie, Scotland. You're good people, and I miss you, and you're good.
I can't imagine has ever happened before. They stuffed the ballot boxes. You know, I've been hearing that expression
since the 30s.
Many years. You have to stuffed the ballot. They stuffed the ballot boxes, and
they stuffed the ballot boxes. Yeah, there were purple fingers all over the place. Like, this is just goofy.
They used COVID as a means to stuff the ballot boxes. Joe Biden did not get 16 million more votes than Barack Hussein Obama.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, you got everybody who voted for Biden, or for Obama, plus a bunch of Republicans who hate your guts, plus a bunch of people who held off voting against, voting for Hillary Clinton, and a bunch of people who aged into voting, who were younger voters who actually got activated.
He didn't get it.
He did get it.
Joe Biden did not get 14 million more votes than Hillary Clinton. And
yeah, he did.
By the way, he didn't beat Obama in the black communities. You go to some of these communities where Obama is very, very popular, and he beat...
What, you mean the black communities? So he's not popular in white areas, is what you're saying? White people didn't like Obama?
Beats him in some of these communities, but all throughout the rest of the United States, in a black community, he does actually poorly. He doesn't do very well. But he beats Obama in swing states. Now think of that. He beat Obama in swing states. You know that didn't happen. They stuffed the ballot box.
Well, the reason they're swing states is because they vacillate. He might lose what Obama's getting in these rock solid blue areas because those people may or may not come out and they know their state's going to go one way or another. But in these swing states where highly motivated voter base, campaigns putting a lot of attention on those areas, a lot of trips by the candidate, a lot of people pissed that you took over the seat that after Obama came out that, supported him and didn't want that to happen again. In the swing states where it's meaningful, yeah, it's exactly how it works.
Everybody knows that.
This is.
I'm included in quote unquote everybody, and I call bullshit.
These are some of the impossible statistics that we have found.
Impossible statistics. You mean like 1 in 1,000 black people have died in the United States because of COVID? That kind of statistic, Maria?
And this is from the Federalist article.
Oh, good. Well, the Federalist, that should settle it.
They call it Biden magic, and they list
Is it a powder or a cream?
a number of ways that Joe Biden magically outperformed election norms. They include 80 million votes, including a record black and Hispanic turnout for you, President Trump, winning despite losing most bellwether counties. Typically, when you win the bellwether counties like you did, the president wins. Biden trailed Clinton.
Bellwether counties? In which states? In the states that Trump won?
Except in a select few cities. Biden won despite Democrat losses everywhere else.
That's because of cross-ticket voting. That's all those Republicans. There you go. What you're seeing right there, right over there, yeah. What you're seeing right there is the Republican Party dealing with the fact that a bunch of Republicans voted against Trump. They voted for Republicans for the House. They voted for Republicans in the Senate. They voted for Republican judges and conservative sheriffs. But they voted for Joe Biden because fuck him.
In the House, Kevin McCarthy is still celebrating wins in the House of Representatives. Biden also overcame your commanding primary vote. So there are certainly statistic impossibilities, and the Federalist calls it magic.
Yeah, well, that settles it then.
As you refer to, Mr. President, will you be able to prove that the computer...
No. I know you know, time is money, Maria. No, he won't be able to prove it.
Computers can circumvent the controls that are in place. A lot of people say, oh, no, we have controls in place. There are paper ballots. The computers cannot get through the controls that are in place. Can you do that?
Yeah, please explain to Maria, Mr. President, how computer boards work.
Secondly, in terms of Pennsylvania, your team got a blow on Friday and appealed.
Hello. I hope it wasn't at the same time as one of those dumps. That's just not done. It's not cricket.
Court rejecting the request to block the certification of Pennsylvania's election results. Your attorneys have said they will appeal to the Supreme Court. Give us your timing on that. Will you get a different outcome in the next couple of days? Will we be hearing a victory in Pennsylvania in the next couple of days?
No.
Okay, well, let me just talk about the Federalist Paper just for a second because you mentioned it.
Yeah, and then get to the computer details because a lot of us, I mean, this is basically a master class on hacking and programming, and I myself, I'm all ears.
There are 5 points, and it was written brilliantly but sarcastically because they were saying he must be a great campaigner because he lost here, he lost here, he lost here, and he won the election. If a president, this is over a long, many period, hundreds of years, 100 years or something, they went into all of the elections. If you win one of the 5 points, I won all 5. If you win one of the 5 points, you become president. You automatically, sitting president gets reelected. I won all 5 and I still lost.
Yeah, because the nature of this vote expanded because of mail-in voting, and the fact that you couldn't squelch the vote in impoverished and black areas by denying them polling machines because people could vote absentee. So every system that the Republicans have set up, especially for the last 60 years, to lower the black vote, lower the minority vote, lower the Hispanic vote, lower the vote of Democrats by gerrymandering and the like, that got softened over the decades. But this time it didn't matter because it wasn't about giving a couple, 10 machines to an affluent, 10 machines to an affluent area and 2 machines to a black area where the lines were around a corner. That's why. That's why your statistics are completely thrown off, because it didn't matter. Every statistical situation that you gamed out because of the impediments to voting that you put in place, none of them mattered.
Only one reason for that: fraud.
No, the reason is because of what I told you.
Stuffing the ballot boxes, all of the things that they did. There's only one reason, and everybody knows it. And your numbers are much different. This country, I cannot believe it. There's more spirit. I see more spirit right now. This country cannot have fake elections like we have fake news, like we have all of the things happening with big tech.
With big tech?
There's a tremendous...
it's terrible how YouTube allows this shit... There it is, over there. Allows Maria's show to post this unedited. You can basically download it if you want to. You could rip this, you could record it, you could just listen to the audio. It's all there. Big tech. Google owns that site. Why are they not ripping this down? And you can tweet the whole thing. This entire thing he said, his whole interview has been repeatedly tweeted over and over again. So, big tech must really have it out for him.
Move on to repeal Section 230. Big tech has no liability. They can do whatever they want. It's ridiculous. But there's a big move to do that.
Yeah, there's a huge move. You mean you yelling it on Twitter? Giant.
I don't know if the politicians have the guts to do it.
You are a politician.
But they're hurting themselves very badly.
Apparently not.
There are so many different things. We'll be appealing different cases. It's not only...
I can't imagine you being appealing to anyone.
Our case, Mike Kelly, great congressman, as you know, from Pennsylvania, has a great case. He won. Well, he had a good decision. Then he went a step above, and they turned him down.
Ow.
I think that was in Pennsylvania. I think he's got a great appeal to the United States Supreme Court. Act 77, where the legislature is supposed to approve all this stuff, and they had it approved by local officials or a judge. I think it's a great case, but
this is the electors. The problem is if that guy's, I've seen that, if that guy's case goes through, he doesn't get seated, neither does the judge hearing the actual case. All the down ballot races get thrown out, period. And they have to start from scratch. In a very red area, by the way. He won.
By local officials or a judge. I think it's a great case, but...
It's a terrible case. It's ridiculous.
By local officials or a judge. I think it's a great case, but I'm sure they'll be appealing too. They have a fantastic case.
Fantastic.
A lot of the cases that have been lost haven't been our cases. They're people that are aggrieved that went out and filed lawsuits because...
Yeah, they were all the failures are their fault. They filed... it was our lawyers, but it was their...
They saw things happening.
They just saw it and they were like, I have to file a case.
That they've never seen before.
Oh.
A poll watcher, I have a lot of respect for Ken Starr. And I watched him on your show, actually. And a poll watcher is like a sacred person in the world.
It really is. It's a sacred... to take a vow of celibacy for 24 hours while you're at the polling place.
The politics. They call them partisan poll because they're like a Republican poll watcher, a Democrat poll watcher. They watch the votes being counted. It's so important. It is like the most important. Otherwise, people will cheat, unfortunately. So poll watchers are very important.
Right.
Our poll watchers didn't just get set back, which they did. They got thrown out of buildings.
You mean the 500 that showed up when there were already 200 that had registered and were working and stormed the place with long guns and insisted on being given access to the room? You mean those people?
In different
He does.
states. They were thrown out of.
Yeah, and he does mean election judges. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
And this is a well-coordinated attack because you don't do it with everybody. Maybe it would happen in Philadelphia, but it wouldn't happen in Detroit. Now, Detroit and Philadelphia.
Maybe it was because you were sending large groups of marauding assholes to all these places to try and scuttle the vote in all these... Like, there's as much an argument for your people instigated an attack in all of these states that had to be rebuffed as there is to make the case that people were being thrown out willy-nilly just in these states because it was a coordinated Democratic attack.
With everybody. Maybe it would happen in Philadelphia, but it wouldn't happen in Detroit.
Ugh.
Now, Detroit and Philadelphia, Milwaukee, these are among the most dishonest
Black areas?
Political places in years. Just look at the past history. I'm not being rude to anybody.
Nah.
These are highly corrupt
It's not rude. It's just true.
locations politically. But poll watchers were walked out by thugs out of the building.
Thugs walked out. Would a thug walk you out? I think a thug would just kind of give you the old heave-ho, wouldn't they? I mean, if they're truly thugs. What kind of a thug walks someone out? Excuse me. Follow me, sir. Absolutely. Can I see you to the door? Oh, please. After you. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for visiting. Oh, this is wonderful. Yes, it's fantastic. It's just a wonderful thing. Can we get you anything? With a glass of water? Something like that. That's lovely. Lovely.
And you have it all over the news. We could give you everything you need. All you have to do is local news covers it actually much differently than national news. National news doesn't like covering anything that would be like that. They don't. They do not.
Yeah, national news doesn't like drama.
Report the news.
They don't even. And by national news, I mean Fox, you bastards.
That's why I call them fake news. But
is that why?
They've never been fake like they are now. Now they're a disgrace.
No, they're super fake. I call them the super fake news. Uber fake. Uber fake. Uber fucking.
But the news.
Das kan Uber fucking. Kleine Bagage.
Is the enemy. Our newspapers, major newspapers, and major networks are truly the enemy of the people in this.
Oh, all right. So, just for the record, the New York Post is 4th, I think, in publication in the so that I would consider them a major, top 10 certainly.
Country, they're very dangerous.
Very dangerous. Yes, it's like you open up the style section. It's like a Wolverine goes right for your jugular.
And big tech is making them even more dangerous. But they got rid of poll watchers.
I'm going to get back to I'm going to get back to big tech.
Can I keep you on point? Because again, no specifics, a lot of wandering generalities.
This is a critical part of this story, Mr.
Isn't it?
President, but if you take out the contested swing states electoral votes.
Yeah, if you bomb big chunks of the United States where the vast majority of the people live. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, go ahead.
You're back down to President Trump having 232 electoral votes and Joe Biden having 227.
If you just pretend those states don't exist, well, one would think that then the Electoral College wouldn't be decided on the same amount of numbers if you took those states out and they don't actually function. But please back into... All right.
That is if you strip out the 6 states with the legal challenges.
Yeah, just take them out. You don't win them, nobody wins them.
So is the thinking here that...
That's adorable.
Because of the various...
It is the Uberkraken.
...ballot issues, that the Supreme Court will rule that the vote is tainted. And that will mean that they have to take...
Vote with your taint. That's a new one.
Votes away from Biden and not certify. Is that the thinking? And secondly, what's your timing on this, Mr. President? Because we've got some notable election dates here that I want to ask you what you believe you consider to be your drop-dead date in terms of proving this case.
Yeah, let me guess. He thinks it's January 21st.
Is it December 18th?
Why is she yelling? Because she's got to get him to listen. And listen to her questions throughout. And has he answered them? I mean, it's a natural reaction.
When the states finalize elector appointments or when electors cast votes in each state? Is it the vice president receiving electoral votes?
Yeah, that's when it happens. The day, 2 days before Christmas, we're going to have the evangelical vice president receive the electoral votes, take them back to the White House, and let you set them on fire?
Is it the House and Senate counting electoral votes, or is it Inauguration Day, January 20th? How do you see it?
I see we won it in 2016, basically.
Well, I don't want to give you an actual date.
Yeah, because that would stop me from raising money on all this.
A lot of people say the 18th, or they say the 14th, or they say
the 4th, the 12th. Some people say 2/35, 2/36, whatever works.
January 20th. I'm not going to say a date.
No, why would you do that?
But I will say we have to move very fast.
Sure, yeah, but don't move carefully and cautiously and competently. Fast is better.
Have been moving fast. And, look, when you say, is it tainted? Everyone knows it's tainted. Everyone knows that the poll watchers were thrown out of the...
No, they weren't. Everyone knows they weren't. You and your deluded followers have been sold a bill of goods by, I guess, Rudy Giuliani and his crowd, but they absolutely were not.
Buildings. Everyone knows that people were not allowed to vote.
Everybody knows they weren't allowed to vote. Everybody knows I'm losing.
When they walked in so preciously, so beautifully to vote.
They so preciously, so beautifully to vote. Hello, darling. Yes? Are you here to vote? Absolutely. Delicately, softly, softly. Rice paper. Are your feet damp? Not at all. Not sweating today. I never do on election day. It's just not done. Well, let me guide you over. Now, be careful touching the voting machine. These are all touch screens. The slightest breath can actually do that. So what we'll do is we'll assign you a hummingbird. Oh, that's wonderful. Yes. It's a beautiful and delicate way to vote. It's really a sacred thing. Who are you? I'm a poll watcher. I've taken a vow of chastity. I'm exhausted. Ah, that's wonderful. Thank you. And the fluttering bird, yes, he'll do your voting for you. What you do is he'll land on your arm, and then you give him a slight kiss, and then you whisper into his ear that you would like to vote for Donald Trump, and he'll let her down, and he'll wing your vote into the machine very delicately, very beautifully, and then he'll flutter back out and land right on your finger. And then what happens? Well, after that, of course, we stick a USB-V stick in the side of it and steal your vote for Joe Biden. Oh, that's wonderful. It's a loud process. You probably want to be outside. Oh, good point. Thank you very much. Absolutely. Canapé? No, not this early in the day. Absolutely. I have a brandy waiting for me at home on my crying pillow.
A elderly woman.
Oh, here it is. The proud elderly woman comes in.
We have her deposition.
Deposition.
Was told.
She was told.
Who longed to vote.
I long to vote. One of the things I miss the most about my youth is voting.
Look forward to the day of November 3rd. Was told when she got in there, I'm sorry you voted.
What? What lies are these? How could this outdamned spot on my voting, thou shalt tear mine heart from mine own chest. I am denied the sacred right to vote in person. If only I had not mailed the heathen envelope, licked upon, sent it off. Oh, dear, dear, dear. What sorrow is this? Oh, well, fuck it. There's always the midterm.
And then they give her another ballot to sign, which they don't use because she already voted.
Come on. Jesus Christ. Counted because she already voted. Yeah, that's the problem. It is my dream that I may vote twice in this election. I mistakenly voted for Joe Biden by mail. My eyes do fail me in this fading light of life. So I returned to the spot where the crime itself was committed, and I would choose to vote again, but this time for Donald Trump, so as to zero out my mistake and make amends. Please allow me. You'll have to vote provisional, Mum. I can't. You must. I can't. You must. All right. There you are. Can I have my hummingbird back? Yes, thank you. Hey, I'm sorry. Yes, there you go. What are you going to do with this ballot? Well, that's what the shredder is for. Shit. Story changes every time he tells it.
That's how brazen they are.
They're brazen. You marauders stealing my vote in front of me and only allowing me a provisional ballot to vote once again.
They'll actually vote people knowing that there's a good chance that those people will come in. And there were thousands of those people. And by the way, just to set the record straight, because a couple of these
Oh, yeah. Now we're going to set the record straight. Oh, good.
cases were dismissed because they didn't have enough votes, enough bad, tainted votes so that you'd overturn the state.
Right.
No. In all cases, we have many times, I don't even know where the judges would have gotten that information.
Well, they certainly didn't get information that those actually happened from your attorney. None of the people in those circumstances were denied a vote. Literally, the people, both of these versions of this old lady that he's talking about, both of them were denied the right to vote twice. The fuck?
We have thousands and thousands and tens of thousands.
Yeah, millions. At this point, hundreds
of votes.
Of thousands.
More than we need.
Dozens.
In other words, if I lost a state by 9,000 votes.
We had plenty of people double voting. We had enough old ladies trying to vote twice. It would have covered this. God damn it. I told all my supporters, vote by mail, then go down and vote in person again. And they did. And it should have been plenty of extra votes. If I have 100,000 supporters that do this, that's 200,000 votes. I should be winning. That's literally what this asshole is arguing right now. What? What?
Or if I lost Georgia by, let's say, 12,000 votes.
Thank you.
We have tens.
Thank you, Pool Guy 67. That means a lot.
Of thousands more votes than that. We don't have it where we found 9 dead people.
I love this. I love Maria Bartiromo's I'm listening face. Am I talking to an insane person right now? Yes, you are.
And therefore, we want you to turn over the state.
No, we didn't find 9 dead people and we want you to turn over the state. No one would bother with that. I mean, honestly.
And give us those electoral votes. In all cases, and yet
everyone.
Judges are, one judge was saying, we didn't have the votes to turn it over. Therefore, it's meaningless.
Yeah. You don't get to eat up the resources of a state for a feudal case that you can't even prove, that you're not presenting evidence for, and make the state have to spend hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, chasing phantoms that you just farted out in the courtroom.
In other words,
what?
If you don't have the votes, I understand that. If you had far fewer votes than the amount. Now, in one way, you could also say...
I'm sorry, you lost me. I started to lose consciousness. What the fuck?
It's so fraudulent when they make up, when they're voting for dead people, and when dead people are signing applications, meaning they're not, meaning somebody else is fraudulently signing. I mean, in the name of a dead person. Well, that tells you a lot.
Does it? Does it now? That told me a lot. There, you guys, anybody write that down? Everybody got that? Everybody got that?
but we actually have thousands of votes, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of votes.
Yeah.
More than we need.
What'd I say? He's already at 100,000.
In every swing state that we're talking.
Every swing state. Every state where I told my supporters, vote by mail, then go vote in person. They were given, that should give me an extra 100,000 for every time. I mean,
about.
Mr. President.
By the way, I'm going to go out on a limb, and I don't want to look back, but I don't think he answered her question.
Have you received from your chief of cyber command
A sedative of any sort? Were you shot with an elephant dart in the side of the head? Anything that could explain the dribbly bullshit that is falling out of your mouth right now?
any briefing on electronic interference from either internal or external influences? Have you received this briefing?
We're dealing with John Ratcliffe, who's fantastic. We're dealing with other people, and
You're dealing with them? What do you mean? You're giving they're having panic attacks, and you're giving them a glass of warm milk and a blankie? What do you mean dealing with them? You talking with them? What details are they giving you? Are they classified? Can you say anything? If you can't, are you finding anything? Why would there be any reason to believe you?
We don't always get, they've been there for a long time, Maria.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's these career people. The military is the worst. I mean, can you imagine? I don't know if you guys know this, but a lot of families stay in the military, and like their kids get in the military, and then they join and they go through basic training, and they become privates or something like that. And then they eventually, if they stay in long enough and they see enough battle, or they'll get moved up in the chain of command, and they'll get medals and shit. And then some of these people have been in the military most of their lives. Can you believe this? And those people, have they ever created a job? No. Created some craters maybe in a foreign country. No, these are not job creators. Am I right? Civil service. Get out of here. What are they doing? Serving America. Grotesque.
It's a long story.
Is it? Tell it.
It's a long story.
Apparently.
We're disappointed that more people didn't get involved, because this is a fraud. This is a fraud.
You said fraud. Is it a fraud?
Against the American people. It's a fraud against the United States of America. And we're disappointed that some people don't get more involved. Like this character on 60 Minutes, they're putting him on. This guy, we had so many things. He's talking about how honest the election is. Well, how come there are thousands of dead people voting?
There aren't. How come you keep saying there are when there aren't? There are not.
How come there are all these other people voting that shouldn't be voting?
All these other people voting that shouldn't be voting? You mean Democrats? You don't want Democrats voting?
How come?
Black people? Is it black people? It's black people, isn't it? It's Hispanics and black people voting. Does that bother you? Women, suburban women, they didn't vote the way you wanted. It's got to be rough.
We find thousands of votes. How come poll watchers, every vote that
by the way, that's not a poll watcher,
went through an election area, what they call it, a counting area.
A counting area. Is that what they call them? They call them counting areas? Is that the scientific? Jesus Christ.
Where our poll watchers were locked out of the building, standing outside, or standing so far away that you couldn't see, where they literally went out and said for binoculars.
Binoculars. Are you choking to death? What?
Standing so far away that you couldn't see, where they literally went out and said for binoculars.
Binoculars. They went and said they had binoculars. I heard that their periods attract bears.
It's supposed to be right next to that vote. Well, every one of them is a fraud. So how can he say, other than he's an anti-Trumper, how can this guy say that there was no fraud? 60 Minutes, by the way, never called us for comment.
Yeah, they did.
They do a piece on somebody. They don't call us for comment.
Yeah, they did.
But when you don't have a poll watcher and thousands of votes are passing that area where you're supposed to have a poll watcher to see.
They have poll watchers.
That everything's on the up and up. Well, those are votes that count toward us. Those are thousands of votes. And they were done in many of the states,
Terrible.
swing states that we're talking about.
Everywhere. Guys, you can't even...
Where is the DOJ and the FBI in all of this?
He already did this shit before. You're going to bring him back to this? You're just trying to wind him up? Did you get that in your ear from the producer? Make him shit on the FBI again. They're looking into some of Rupert Murdoch's financial shit. We need to undermine people's faith in the FBI. Make sure you get that again.
Mr. President.
The Department of Justice. We won't always have Bill Barr there, so.
You have laid out some serious charges here. Shouldn't this be something that the FBI is investigating? Are they?
Are they? What the hell? Okay, I have been all over Facebook groups about QAnon, and let me tell you, I have read, Mr. President, so many of these things, and I can't believe people are. Give me the details.
Is the DOJ investigating?
Why is the DOJ not looking into this? What is happening?
Missing in action. Can't tell you where they are.
Is the building empty? Have you walked over? You have keys to the place, right?
I asked.
You use a fob, I think, to get in and out.
Are they looking at it? Everyone says yes, they're looking at it.
Are you guys? Give me a fuck. Bar. I'm gonna guess this phone isn't working, Chief of Staff. Did you unplug my phone so I stop bothering? Bar, it's me. It's the big boss. It's Big D. It's your favorite president. Listen. Yeah. Why? Are you looking into it? Are you looking into it? He says they're looking into it. Are you going to keep looking into it? He says they're going to keep looking into it. Have you found anything? The line went dead. The line went dead. I don't know. No, I didn't. It didn't go dead. He said the line went dead, and then I just repeated it. That's what I do. Jesus.
Look, where are they with Comey, McCabe, and all these other people? You know, I said I'll stay out of it. I wish I didn't make that statement. There's no reason really why I have to. But where are they?
Other than the fact that you shouldn't be manipulating the Justice Department to be an arm of your campaign?
With Comey.
Because America's more important than you are?
With McCabe, with Brennan, with all these
people. Thank you, Sven.
People, they lied to Congress.
No kidding.
They lied, they leaked.
Yeah, they leaked and lied and lied. They leaky lied. My diaper, they leaked like my diaper leaks. They leaky lie. By the way, for the record, again, you can't leak a lie. Anytime he says they leaked something, that's an admission that it's true. Because you can't leak something that's false. You can lie, but you can't, yeah.
They spied in our campaign.
They spied him and they fuck you at the drive-thru. We're back to that again.
And I see Carter Page is...
Oh, hold on. We're going long. Hi, sorry, we have dinner plans, so I forgot. I got to make sure that I'm done by the time. Hi, everybody. Sorry. Sorry, I had called away for a moment. Here we go.
Bringing a lawsuit, that's good news. Where are they with all of this stuff?
They're in their office laughing between bouts of crying.
And, what happened to Durham? Where's Durham? So, you're asking...
Yeah, the Durham report.
Asking me a question. These people have been there a long time, and I know FBI, and FBI is great at the levels that we talk about, but...
What's the levels that we talk about?
It's inconceivable.
You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
You would think if you're in the FBI or
Yeah.
Department of Justice. This is the biggest thing you could be looking at. Where are they? I've not seen anything. I mean,
it's not, I don't,
move it along, and they go on to the next president. They've been there for a long time.
Move it along, and they move on to the next president. It's almost like it don't even matter. It's almost like, I don't know, hookers.
And people just keep move it along and
move it, people.
They go on to the next president. They've been there for a long time. People don't understand
Yeah,
it.
they don't understand that people choose a career in law enforcement. It's more of a temp job. Isn't everything a temp job? You just do it until it's no longer fun, and then you ditch it. You know what I mean? Trump is our first millennial president. I think we can be all honest about that.
Yes, they've been there for a long time. Some of them have served a lot of different presidents.
Ugh.
And
yikes. Really?
They have their own views.
They have their own views.
Can say is I haven't heard, with all of the fraud
I haven't heard. What?
that's taken place, nobody's come to me and said, oh, the FBI's nabbed, the people that are doing this scheme. The FBI is looking at Dominion, which nobody even knows where they're based.
Nobody knows where they're based. Is that because they can't find Denver on a map?
Which nobody even knows where the votes are counted. The votes in Dominion, they say, are counted.
And by the way, the they is Rudy Giuliani and Jen Ellis.
In foreign countries. No, they're not. Okay. Can you believe this?
No, I don't.
Now, Dominion is also based in a number of foreign countries. One of them is Canada.
Uh-oh.
And Canada refuses to use Dominion, and they're based there. They won't get anywhere near. Texas will not get anywhere near Dominion.
No, they use the ES&S machines, which they won't allow an audit of. What's that about?
I spoke with the Attorney General. I spoke with a lot of different people.
Sure.
Texas, you should see the reports that Texas wrote on Dominion. They wouldn't use them.
Really? What was the report on ES&S like?
They wouldn't, under any circumstance, they wouldn't use them. So, they, as you probably have heard.
Yeah.
But Canada does paper votes. And the only way this is going to be safe is paper votes. Even
paper votes. All right.
Even the mailmen. Look, the mailmen are carrying thousands of ballots back and forth.
Uh-huh.
There are many mailmen that are in big trouble right now for selling ballots, getting rid of ballots. This is the crazy.
Wait, that's a new one. I haven't heard that one yet. That there are mail carriers, thank you very much, who are selling ballots? Huh?
Craziest thing you've ever seen.
It is crazy. I've seen,
But many ballots with the name Trump on were thrown out.
Yeah, because that's how people vote. You know what I mean? You take your ballot, you fill it out, you put it in the privacy envelope, you put the privacy envelope in the regular envelope, and then you write Trump on the back of it so people know who you voted for. And then, you give it to your Democrat coffee boy mail carrier to throw out or put in or sell.
You've read that.
No one's read that.
Found ballots in a river with.
They didn't find any in a river. They found the entire contents of a mail truck in a river. Didn't include any ballots.
The name Trump on from the military?
No. You're mixing up the 7 that were set aside that were in the wrong envelopes that were eventually counted, but the temp who got in those things didn't realize that they were ballots, and setting them aside, that person was let go. But the ballots weren't thrown away or discarded. They were set aside. They were eventually counted. There were 9 votes altogether. 2 were for Biden, 7 were for Trump.
They were signed, and they were floating in a river.
They were signed and floating in a river. It's not like he's just mixing up multiple stories into one, it's one shithead smoothie.
They found ballots.
Why don't we just stick a straw in his head and just go, yep, bullshit.
Under rocks that had the name Trump on.
They're now under rocks.
In a river. They found ballots under rocks that had the name Trump on. They were signed with Trump. We won the election easily.
They were signed with Trump. Honest to God, this is the dumbest. What is he talking, Newman?
There's no way Joe Biden got 80 million votes.
God damn it, there's no way I lost by this much. All my votes are in a river under a rock somewhere. It's a Democratic alligator. Took him for a death roll. He got a bag full of mail and stuck it under a log to soften up for later. Nom, nom, nom.
I just said there's no way
Yeah, we heard you just say that.
Joe Biden beat Barack Obama in the black communities of various cities, and then he did very badly compared to Obama in other cities throughout the United States.
Huh?
There's no way it happened.
This
election was a fraud. It was a rigged election.
Yeah, I keep saying it though. This is fun to watch. I was about to discourage you from calling it a fraud and that kind of stuff, but I don't think anyone takes you seriously, so it's just kind of humorous at this point. I don't think anybody overseas is going, oh, that's good. Look at that. The American system actually can withstand the attacks by even a psychotic president. That's pretty good. This system's actually pretty good.
This is disgusting.
Ew. Did you just text her a picture on her phone?
And we cannot allow America's election to be corrupted. We cannot.
No.
So you believe you can prove that the computers can circumvent any controls that are in place. And before we leave the subject of Durham, I feel like something happened in September. I don't know what happened, but we were...
My birthday, September 25th. That's what you felt. It's like a movement in the force. It does that every year. People go, ooh, get that kind of like second Christmas feeling or something. That's amazing. Was it Hal Sparks' birthday? Yeah. Same day as Will Smith and Christopher Reeve and Mark Hamill? Yep.
We're all expecting Durham to come out and A.G. Barr to be aggressive. He told me back in June that mail-in ballots open the floodgates of fraud.
Yeah, but they don't.
Why wasn't anything done about it? Why weren't there surveillance cameras to shoot what we know now to be trucks backing up ballots, for example, in Michigan? And finally...
You mean the food trucks? Yeah, Maria, God damn it. You have to go back and watch my stream, will you? I know you're probably watching this later. Somebody at Fox might tip you off to this. Do yourself a favor. I think it was last week ago, Thursday. It was probably when we did this about the truck story and the girl who was the witness and Rudy brought her forward and she talked about how the trucks, they didn't look like food trucks to her and that the ballots came in through a back door while everybody was being lured to a taco truck or some shit. You got to go back and look at that again because you're not going to want to go all in on this conspiracy until you've seen that, honestly.
This question, will you appoint a special counsel to investigate and to continue the investigating into what took place in the 2016 election? You mentioned Jim Comey and...
2016? Oh, yeah. So you want a special counsel to redo 2016? Oh, please do.
Andrew McCabe not facing accountability. Will you appoint a special counsel?
By the way, Comey and McCabe, that's the least of it. You talk about the Logan Act. They used the Logan Act on General Flynn, who I was very proud to pardon. But they wanted to use, and they did use the Logan Act on General Flynn. And you know where that started. Look, this...
by the way, what he's referencing there is the illusion going around the right-wing circles that it was Biden's idea to use the Logan Act, when in reality, someone in the room on the legal team brought up that, this falls under the Logan Act. And Biden went, Jesus, the Logan Act? When was that put on the books? The 1800s? Nobody's used that since, in the entire time I've been in the Congress, nobody's even brought that up. That was the extent of his entire conversation. That's in the notes they released. That Biden recognized the Logan Act when everybody else in the room was too young to know what it was. But Trump's like, it was his idea. It was Biden's idea. He's got this strange obsession with laws written around Benedict Arnold.
Whole thing is a terrible situation.
Well, the grasp of words. Mwah.
This should have never been allowed to happen.
Never.
And, it's an embarrassment to our country. All over the world, they're talking about it.
Yes, they're talking about you all over the world.
And, yeah, I would consider her a special prosecutor because, this is...
Yeah, consider it. Any day now.
This is not a counsel. It sounds so nice. Mm-hmm. I went through...
Look.
3 years of a special counsel prosecutor.
Uh-huh. And?
Co-prosecutor, because it's a much more accurate term. They spent 48...
You use what?
Sounds so nice. I would consider a special prosecutor, because, you know, this is not a counsel. It sounds so nice.
Yeah.
I went through 3 years of a special counsel prosecutor. I call prosecutor because it's a much more accurate term. They spent $48 million, Weissman and all Trump haters. They spent $48 million. That was the Mueller investigation. They went through taxes. They went through everything. For $48 million, you look at everything, and they found no collusion, no nothing.
No, read it. And also, you ordered the unredacted information from it. Thank you, Robin. Thank you guys for the super chats and the support today. I love you guys. I haven't bothered with that pitch, and I got to get better at this. But thank you guys for your support of the show. Thank you to our patrons. Appreciate you guys so much. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. You can also use the Venmo that's right up there. There's all kinds of ways you can help out the show. If you're on Facebook, you can use stars. If it's hearts on Periscope. And, of course, super chats and whatnot. If you can, please give and help out. If you can't, sit back and enjoy the show given to you by other people.
They found nothing.
Yeah, they found a lot, quite frankly. But they were kept from pursuing the criminality in it by Rod Rosenstein and Jeff Sessions.
After friends of mine said, you must be the cleanest guy in the world.
No one says that.
Because nobody could have gone through an examination like that. And then they announced we have no collusion. There was none.
They didn't announce there was no collusion. Bill Barr announced that his interpretation of it.
And Marco Rubio said, President Trump, with the Senate Judiciary hearings, absolutely was totally uninvolved. It had nothing to do with Russia. Okay, it was a Russia hoax. It was just pure hoax. It was a pure hoax and a very sad thing for the country.
Where is he sitting right now? What do you think? Bed? A chair in the East Room? Something like that? Like by himself? And I always picture him on the toilet, but it's a long time.
And as much as I've done, and I think I've done more than virtually in 4 years, more than any president in history with Space Force and tax cuts.
Yes, Space Force, tax cuts, yeah.
Biggest regulation cuts in history, biggest tax cuts in history.
No.
The vets, the VA.
That was a lie again.
As much as I've done, I could have done more, except that I was under investigation.
Why? What did that say? You golfed more than any president in history. You had time for that. Other people draft this shit. They don't expect you to type it up. Literally, what was he denied? What was he ever denied the ability to push for? Ever. This ridiculous, last-minute executive order to lower drug prices that's falling apart already because Canada has already denied exports of certain drugs because they know that Florida is going to buy them out. So they're like, yeah, no, you can't just buy up the drugs we have here. We need them. We have that deal for our citizens. Get your own. But he did it as an executive order so it could be overturned by the pharmaceutical companies. That's why they don't give a shit.
For almost from the day I came down the escalator, with what.
It's amazing how much scrutiny a presidential candidate goes on, and yet he still never had to give any of his taxes.
Turned out to be our future first lady, who's very popular, by the way.
Well, she was before the Fuck Christmas tape.
But when I came down the escalator from very shortly thereafter, and you know this almost better than anybody else.
I don't know what that whole thing is, too. He does that all the time. You know more than anybody. You people, you obviously know this, and you know this probably better than anybody. That's one of his physical or his verbal tics that he does. He does this to reporters a lot. The illusion that it's not just him speaking. There are hundreds or maybe thousands, perhaps millions of other people who agree with him automatically. And you're not attacking me. You're attacking them.
I was under investigation. Now, at the time, I didn't know it, but I was. All they do is...
No, Russia was under investigation. Your people called them.
Investigate. Then they send everything they have into New York. When I beat them in the federal, I beat them in federal. They send everything into New York. Oh, let them take a crack at it. What's going on in this country is not to be believed.
Because you couldn't say unbelievable again?
I could say some very strong words.
Please do.
Where this country's gone over the last 10 or 15 years. But it's not...
Well, the last 4 is... if you want to talk about the shitter.
Not to be believed. And we were changing it.
Into what? A Russian-style oligarchy?
I got in or get in, we will very quickly have deals with Iran, But now they're going to give the ship away. They'll pay hundreds of billions of dollars to Iran.
Why? That was their money. They got it. It's gone. We're no longer paying interest on it. That's over. There's no more money to give them.
China didn't want me in because we were beating China so badly.
They were still striking a deal with you while allegedly poisoning the public on purpose, according to you?
And now they're going to go. China actually stated, you probably heard it 2 days ago, we want to deal with the United States, but we don't like America first. And now the Democrats are saying, oh, we won't use America first. America first is exactly what it is. America first.
Oh, is that what it is? As opposed to an isolationist, nationalistic phrase that actually screws everybody but the 1%?
We have to take care of ourselves first, and then we can help others.
You mean that's you and Jared talking, right?
But we have to take care of ourselves first, or we won't have a country.
No.
But that's where we are, Maria. It's a very sad thing. Why isn't the FBI all over the place? They're not. They're not. It's an incredible thing.
Terrible.
They're not. And it's an embarrassment to our country.
But
confirm that your cases will reach the Supreme Court in the next 2 weeks. Confirm that for us. And also, what do you want to say to people like business people, like, for example, Jamie Dimon, the CEO of J.P. Morgan, who said it's time to move on and unify and accept the results? Or Stephen Schwarzman, who's a supporter of you, who said soon we will have to move on. And what about the ramifications of the Supreme Court agreeing with you? Are you worried that we could see riots? And, you know, when you have people who don't agree with you, they think it's just fine to throw bricks through your window and force small businesses to board up. Are you worried about unrest and rioting should the Supreme Court agree with you?
What do you think he says, that the other side isn't tough, and if we decided to do it, then they really have to watch out?
So the people that we have and the people that are so committed to this, like I've never seen, I think almost they have more spirit now than they do even before the election. All of the people.
So that's your failure.
These are not rioting types, but they are stronger. They are smarter. They are more successful. Antifa is bad news. Nobody wants to do anything with Antifa except me. If I wasn't here, Antifa would be running this country right now.
No. They don't even vote.
They'd be running the country.
How? What kind of... It's sort of like a nationwide chop? Is that what you're picturing?
They always like to blame the radical right. It's not the radical right. It's the radical left, and it's largely Antifa and groups like this, and nobody wants to even talk about them.
Antifa, a loose-knitted organization of people who fall under the umbrella of being anti-fascist when occasionally acting fascist on their own, and legit activists who are fighting back against you as someone they see as being fascist, and the use of military and police forces in a fascistic way across the country and pushing back against that. And that kind of hodgepodge of human beings basically sums up Antifa. And?
Nobody wants to talk about what they're doing in Portland and what they're doing in Chicago and what they're doing in New York. And they club people over the heads when nobody's looking.
Do they?
And then nobody talks about it.
Well, certainly not the person who's knocked out.
It's a disgrace.
Isn't it?
It's
but enough about the Proud Boys.
Absolutely a disgrace. And if I'm not here...
Uh-oh.
I'm sort of your wall. We're complete.
That's what you are. You're a wall. Yeah. You're not the turret or the tower or the gate or the moat or the bridge or... Yeah, no, you're just the wall. And you can't improve on... You're a wall with a wheel on it, and that's what we love about it.
The wall, like I said I would. Everyone said you'd never be able to do it.
Yeah, you've added, 5 miles?
That's another one I got built. And it's had a huge impact. We have the best numbers we've ever had on the southern border.
Yeah, during a pandemic.
People come in, but they come in legally. But the wall is almost complete. And to be honest...
Why start now?
We look and we see all of the different problems. MS-13, we take care of it. We bring thousands of MS-13 back to where they came from. We don't want them here. we bring them back.
Yeah.
But Antifa is a real problem in this country, and nobody wants to take them on. It's
No, really, you call up the FBI and the DOJ, and they're like, I don't know, MS-13 is pretty scary. I don't know, cops. What are we gonna do? Storm in there? I don't even know.
disgraceful.
It's just disgraceful that no one's that basically they're not as big a problem as you make them out to be, and you expect more MS-13 raids than there are MS-13 members.
Disgraceful.
Terrible. It's a disgrace. Why are the law enforcement people in our country so weak? Says Mr. Trump.
Which cases specifically will reach the Supreme Court and when?
None and none and never.
Well, the problem is it's hard to get into the Supreme Court.
It is. Their dance card is so full.
I've got the best Supreme Court advocates, lawyers, that want to argue the case if it gets there. But they said it's very hard to get a case up there. Can you imagine?
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump, President of the United States,
former President of the United States, citizen, someone who lost the election, where the law applies to him equally as it does to everyone else, has to go through the same thing. It's kind of a wonderful thing about our country, if you think about it, that just because you're the president doesn't mean you have automatic standing that allows you to punch something forward because you wanna.
files a case, and I probably can't get a case, even with, and we have tremendous proof. We have hundreds and hundreds of affidavits, sworn affidavits, and it's very hard to get a case to the Supreme Court.
Because your evidence sucks and your lawyers are idiots and none of them can file a brief to save their lives?
That's what everybody's fighting for.
Is it?
I thought that Mike Kelly, congressman, I thought they had a great case, and it got thrown out the other day. Now they'll appeal it, I hope, to the Supreme Court.
No.
They have a great case because
no, they don't.
The legislature didn't make the decision on this stuff, and they have a great case.
Yeah, they did. The legislature voted and said we will hand over the choosing of the electors to that body so that we all can stay home between Thanksgiving and Christmas and election years because it doesn't change anything. And they're all just going to, it's perfunctory. It's a rubber stamp job. It's not, we don't want manipulators. We want people who go by the actual vote that we have.
But you have to appeal it. The big thing is, can you get it? We could have a great case. We do have a great case. We have the greatest case ever.
No, if you had the greatest case ever, Rudy Giuliani would not be the only lawyer you can find to argue it in court. The greatest case ever.
We have many different forms of fraud.
Well, yeah. I mean, just in your administration, sure.
It's not just one form. It's ballot fraud.
We got barbecue fraud, deep fried fraud, grilled fraud, ceviche fraud, fraud with potatoes, fraud and grits.
We have it all documented.
Documented fraud.
We have tremendous evidence.
Fraud with documents, fraud without documents, fraud with documents on the side, baked fraud, chicken fried fraud.
So we'll say, we want to show you the evidence, and then the judge will say they didn't show us the evidence. That's what we want to do. We want to have hearings to show the evidence. The time people started seeing evidence was in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, when people started showing it. You probably saw that. Great people came forward with affidavits, signed affidavits. We have hundreds of people like that.
Yeah, they looked at the affidavits. The court received those. You didn't get a second evidentiary hearing because you weren't going to bring anything new. The evidentiary, by the way, just so you know, the evidentiary hearing he's talking about where they were denied in that case was because Rudy wanted a second hearing just for him to, in court, go over all of the affidavits out loud, which were already filed and the court was already looking into and the defense, the state had looked into. And they were like, yeah, it's just bullshit. He just wanted another opportunity to read it in front of a camera in court to make it look like a real fight was going on.
Hundreds.
Chicken fried fraud.
Hundreds and hundreds. They make it.
Fish delight fraud.
Like we don't.
frosted fraud, money fraud, bank fraud, wire fraud.
We don't have evidence. We have evidence all over the place.
I'm sitting on evidence right now. My pants are full of evidence. I'm sweating evidence right now, Maria. I'm wearing evidence deodorant.
And by the way, you asked
Is
about
there a
the
path to
machines,
victory?
Dominion.
Is there a path to victory?
I hope so.
That sounds like a victor. Is there a path to victory? I hope so. I mean, who else needs... I don't need any more, do you?
For the good of the country.
For the good of the country.
It will take a brave judge or a brave legislature.
Or a stupid judge and a stupid legislature.
You know, where Rudy Giuliani, he takes a lot of heat. Let me tell you.
Well, he sweats a lot. I don't know if he's taking a lot of heat, but...
That guy he has guts, because we've had lawyers that were afraid to go forward because they were threatened.
Because they were worried about their futures as lawyers.
Viciously threatened.
Viciously threatened.
We have lawyers, Maria, good lawyers, that had to leave the case in the middle because they were threatened.
Is that why they left? Because the reason they gave was because there's no case.
Absolutely threatened.
By who?
Both psychologically and otherwise.
Psychologically threatened. So they were... You sure it wasn't psychic threats? Mm-hmm. Your Honor, I'd like to, if it please the... Are you all right, counselor? I'm fine. You don't see them? See what? Nothing. Your Honor, I'd like to present... I can't present... You don't see them? What? Little Joe Bidens, they're flying all over the room. It's Kamala Harris, and she's laughing at me. They're everywhere. Can't you see them? I don't know what to do. Counselor, get yourself together. I can't do it. Excuse me, Your Honor. I'm going to have some deep-fried buffalo fraud. Just to calm myself. This is a lot. It seems like so much work for so little meat. It's just all on the... It's mostly bone. Does that bother you? It bothers me a little bit. I know.
And they left the case. Numerous firms, good firms, doing a good job.
Fantastic. And then went, oh, this is shit. And we're not going to get paid. And here's the thing. How much you want to bet the threat came from him? You drop my case, you're screwed. And they're like, yeah, dude, you're not paying your bills.
All of a sudden, we end up having to scramble to get a case ready. What's going on is nobody's ever seen anything like this. It will take a brave judge or justice, or both, Supreme Court justice.
Well, it sounds like if you can't be heard by the Supreme Court, you lose. Do you believe you will win this?
Yeah, like how mad is she at Grandpa right now? Grandpa, if you don't fill this out, the man in the truck is picking you up at 3. You have to sign this piece of paper with your full name, otherwise they think you still think you're Napoleon. I know that. Look, it's really difficult to talk to you via Zoom when you're on the roof. Put some pants on, go in the house, and sign the goddamn paper, Dad.
We should be heard by the Supreme Court. Something has to be able to get up there. Otherwise, what is the Supreme Court? If election...
What is the Supreme Court? I mean, honestly, isn't that the new Atlas Shrugged? Who is John Galt and what is the Supreme Court?
Fraud at the...
I've got 5 more minutes and then I got to get out of here because... Wrap this up, Maria and President. I got to go. I got to go pick up food.
The highest level anyone's ever seen.
Highest level ever.
With tremendous evidence. In a presidential election, if a man gets 80 million votes, and he's not even close to that number, Maria, look, again, I don't want to bore you with this.
Too late.
He did not beat President Obama in areas where they said he beat President Obama.
Yeah, he did.
In fact, the black community had very little enthusiasm for Joe Biden. You know that.
Really? Because that's exactly how he won the primary. Because they know Joe.
Been reporting on that. Very little enthusiasm for Joe Biden.
Terrible.
The Hispanic
apparently it was enough to kick your ass.
Community has very little enthusiasm for Joe Biden.
Oh, Hispanics don't like him.
Biden. He didn't get those numbers. And by the way, I was the most successful with the Hispanic and the black communities.
Yeah.
I was unbelievably successful.
Not believably. is the phrase.
So that record numbers.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
we've talked
How
about
did
that
Joe
a
Biden
lot.
get all these votes? How did he get up to 80 million? How did he get up to 80 million?
All the Democrats and a lot of independents who hate you and a lot of Republicans who hate you. And they voted a split ticket. That's the number. You got 340 million people in the country. That's it.
Yes. And again, I told you,
And they didn't have to wait in line, so they could vote.
we wanted to get 67, 68 votes, and we felt we had it made.
Yeah, 67, 68 votes, you're done. That's all you need. The Electoral College, I mean.
John McLaughlin couldn't believe it. John McLaughlin's a legitimate pollster,
Is he?
not one
Yes.
that says I'm 17 points down in Wisconsin and then end up really effectively winning. They tried to take it away. We'll see what happens with Wisconsin.
They certified today. You lost again.
But essentially winning.
Essentially winning, but losing.
17 points a couple of days before the election. And,
It's weird. It's almost as if the Dominion machines that were working in the blue districts functioned, and all the other districts, they scuttled a lot of mail-in votes and somehow dampened Biden's lead to try and help you.
really,
But it wasn't enough.
won the state. They were 17 points off. Think of that. 17 points off. This is
President.
also, by the way, this is also corruption, Maria. This
Sure.
is also corruption.
Yeah.
Because they're
I
not.
want
that
to ask
different.
you two more questions
Two
before
more.
we wrap up. I want to get your take on how much of an influence on this election was big tech and the media. We know that
Fake news, fake Twitter. Tweets are fake anyways. We know this.
the media
Thank you, Tanua, for reminding me.
declared Joe Biden president-elect on November 7th. They set the narrative that the election was over and
No, they recognize the reality.
discredited any challenges. Big tech and the media have been censoring you and getting more aggressive at it.
They're not censoring him. They're putting a note on things that says actually the AP has called it all the evidence and reality points to this thing. This person is deferring from that. You have to take that into account when you're reading it.
The President of the United States and others being censored literally during a constitutional crisis. What can you do about it?
It's massively powerful. It's massively corrupt.
Amazing.
The media and big tech. Section 230 should be taken out because that's their protection that
Terrible.
was given artificially to them.
Which, by the way, I hope they do, because Trump would never be allowed to appear on Twitter ever again, because they would have to be even more draconian in their censorship, because they would be responsible for anything said on the platform, so people would be banned for life more often, not less.
But it's a massive
Trump would have lost his Facebook page years ago.
form of corruption and silence and suppression. Like, for instance, this conversation.
Silence and suppression of my dreams of winning.
That we're having right now, they will only take if there's something that was slightly off, like you or I mispronounced a word, or
Yeah, that's what it is.
you or I. That will be the story.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. You mispronounce a word, they don't even care, or whatever. Why won't they talk when Biden mispronounces a word? Because Biden never said, I have the best words, and he has a stutter, so he makes up for it occasionally. But you say you have the best words, so if you have the best words, then we hold you to the highest standard. So if you screw up a word, we realize it's not because of a failing of your lips, but that you're actually stupid.
It is.
And arrogant, which is a nice mix in a president.
And yet they won't talk about Hunter Biden.
Yes, thank you, Richard Custer. Patreons assemble! We're almost done.
Never talk about Hunter Biden. Stole millions and millions of dollars. And if you do talk...
Stole millions and millions of dollars now. It's theft now. He wasn't paid for work he didn't deserve. Now it's theft. He's just... Okay, at least we're not exaggerating.
Talk about him.
Uh-huh.
They take you off their platforms. No, it's massively corrupt.
Massive.
I think what
No
happened
problem,
is
Marita.
in 2016, where I won,
Nah, jury's still out. I'm going to, since you don't believe this one's valid and the same machines were used this time as last time, I'm going to go with, since you won that one last time, that if there's manipulation going on now, there was certainly manipulation going on then. So I don't think we can trust the 2016 election. I don't think you're actually president. I'm just saying.
caught him by surprise.
I think Hitler, yeah.
I got him by surprise.
You got them by surprise.
And they said, we're not going to let I don't know why, though, because business has never been better. You know, we got hit by a pandemic, but prior to the pandemic,
we were entering a recession in February.
I had the highest numbers in history. And even
no, you didn't.
Now, the stock market just hit an all-time high.
Yeah, right after you accidentally conceded and they certified the election for Biden in a couple of major states. That was the turning point. Once the transition began, that's when it hit it.
During a
same day
pandemic. And what did I do? I came up with vaccines that people didn't.
Did you? You came up with vaccines? Have you been working around the clock? Is it the grass? Did you find some substance in golf grass?
I think would have for 5 years, and we have them. They're going to be distributed in 2 weeks. I mean,
in 2 weeks.
Think of what we've done. And nobody's done it like this, and we're doing much better than Europe.
Yeah, think of what we've done as Moderna's vaccine was flown in. The first batch was flown in from Belgium.
By the way, you know, you never hear about Europe. We're doing better than the rest of the world. We're doing better. But we have 2 vaccines. We're coming up with another one. Johnson & Johnson's coming up with one.
Yeah, they'll all just come up with them.
4 or 5 great vaccines. 4 or 5 years ahead of schedule.
What's the schedule?
People hardly.
When was the schedule established? When we were using a mortar and pestle to create substances to treat consumption?
They talk about that, and they'll try and claim, try and say that Biden came up with the vaccines. But
nobody thinks you or Biden came up with the vaccine. We'll see if they're safe, though.
But actually, I watched a few of the shows last night. I got to see a couple of them.
Great.
And
yeah, you get to watch a couple hours of TV as you do, you know. Did you notice the death rate?
Mark Levine was
okay, smart. No, he didn't, of course not.
Was fantastic last.
Mr. President, glad to have you on here. Mr. President, it's fantastic that we have you here today. Mr. Producer, if you could play the tape of the president being a genius.
Last night, Mark was great.
He was just so good. He was so good.
Talking about the vaccines.
Yeah, he's so good at talking about the vaccines. What was he saying?
His show was great. I guess they had it on like last night sometime. And
yeah, last night when it's on.
He was great, and so many others are great. Sean Hannity, he knows. He gets it.
He gets it. They get it. They get it. I mean, it was on Saturday, but whatever.
He gets it. But Mark Levin.
He gets COVID? Oh.
Mark Levin said it very well last night. But you have people that get it. But people are afraid to speak out. So it is the power of the media. There's no question about it. But with all that power, we won the race. This was corruption because we got far more votes than him. We got 74 million votes. He did not get anywhere near 80. And that's 74 before they throw away, they threw away ballots. They threw away many Trump ballots.
Did they? Where? If you threw away, how did you see them? And if you did see them, were they really thrown away? Weren't they recovered?
That's the easiest way they could cheat.
Oh, okay. The easiest way is just throw them out. I mean, they're in a privacy envelope inside another envelope. But yeah, I mean, you could smell. Does this smell like Aqua Velva? That's a Trump vote.
But we got 74 million votes.
70.
He didn't get anywhere close to 80 million votes.
He got close to 81 million.
And you believe you will be able to prove this in the coming weeks?
No.
Well, I'm going to use 125% of my energy.
You're not using 25% of it now. You've golfed more times than you've made public appearances.
To do it, you need a judge that's willing to hear a case. You need a Supreme Court that's willing to make a real big decision based on everything that it's not like you're going to change my mind. In other words,
no one gives a shit. Honestly, you're sundowning anyways. No one's going to be able to convince you that your hair looks normal.
My mind will not change in 6 months.
No, it will not. It hasn't changed since 1985.
There was tremendous cheating here. Boxes were brought in.
Boxes.
The mail-in vote is a disaster.
Terrible.
And by the way, if Republicans allow it to happen, you'll never have another Republican elected in the history of this country.
Why? Because they won't earn it, and the vast majority of people won't support what they actually are talking about? Really? There'll never be another Reagan?
At a Senate level or
Is it just me, or do you have a Messiah complex?
at a presidential level.
4
You'll
minutes.
Never, or at a House level.
Thank you, guys.
Mail-in voting is a total disaster. One thing that did happen, very interesting,
Yeah, it's very interesting. Tell us.
we won all the state houses. We won Congress, everything, and Kevin McCarthy gives me a massive amount of credit for what happened.
Sure he does.
Well, look, we're supposed to lose seats. We didn't lose one seat.
Yeah, because Republicans they came out to vote against you, but still voted for the Republicans down ticket. You are responsible for that. That's true.
And we gained many, and others were leading in others. And by the way, you know why the votes aren't in yet, or like 5 or 6 others? Because the mail-in voting is all screwed up.
Is it screwed up? Why is it screwed up? Who's in charge of the mail right now?
On congressional races, and we held the Senate. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm the only one. They say it's statistically impossible. I led the charge. We won state houses, we won Congress, we won the Senate, and I lost. They say it's statistically impossible.
It isn't. It is not statistically impossible because it happened in reality. As a matter of fact, a lot of things are statistically possible on a lot of fronts, whether they actually work out or not. But, back on Earth.
For that to happen.
It's all quite extraordinary, Mr.
Isn't it?
President. We want to thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you for your work on Operation Warp Speed. You told us we would have a vaccine by year end, and now we've got 3. Thank you so much, President
Thank you
Donald
very
Trump.
much. Thank you very much, Maria. Bye.
Morning.
Well, that was, I think we're all dumber after that. Holy hell. Yeah, and he did finally say he lost. That was a nice little moment in there. Well spotted, Rogers. Green, indeed. Pretty hysterical. But this is, honest to God, this is Trump. Hold on, I don't even need these right now. I'm curious. They were supposed to file something today. They didn't. Like I said, let's see. Scott Atlas stepped down. Did he give a reason? Let's look at it real quick, and then I gotta go. Resigns from the Trump administration. Yep. CNN. Let's see. Dr. Scott, a highly controversial member of the White House, and a source familiar with what happened, told CNN that Atlas turned in his resignation letter to President Donald Trump on Monday. As a special government employee, Atlas had a 130-day window in which he could serve, and that window was technically coming to a close this week. Atlas tweeted out a photo of his resignation letter later Monday. In the letter, he said his advice was always focused on minimizing all the harms from both the pandemic and the structural policies themselves, especially those to the working class and poor. I sincerely wish the new team all the best as they guide the nation through these trying, polarized times. He's leaving before the transition. Sorry. He's leaving before the transition. Is it off or did it go? Wait. Yeah, you're good. He's leaving before the transition can ask him questions. That's what's happening. He's supposed to leave this week anyways, but yeah. Sorry, I moved the mic and forgot that it was on the thing. Sorry, it's here. Beg your pardon. Thank you. So, Scott Atlas, I guarantee though, even though he has quit the team, he's no longer on the pandemic task force. Expect for him to be spending a lot of time around Trump and at the White House, just as a friend. Just as a dude. Just a dude looking at a dude, thinking about another dude. And that's because he's actually been there from the beginning to watch out for Trump as he has a continuing series of small strokes, mini strokes, hoping that he doesn't have a grand mal stroke, one of these big ones. So that's I don't know if that's the actual phrase. Grand mal is sort of seizures, but you know what I'm talking about, like a full-on ischemic stroke. That's one of the fears about him having had COVID and his age. Thanks, Richard, for the hot dog with ketchup. Appreciate it. And I got to run, guys. I got to go get some food with my girl. Adore you. You had OMAD today too? Good. Well, that's what I've been saving up for as well. One meal a day as it goes. But take care of yourselves. Take care of somebody else. I will see you guys tomorrow at our regular time. Let me see if I can get this thing over there. Shuffling my system around. I want to thank you guys for your support. All the like the Venmo and that kind of stuff. Like, it just means a lot. I appreciate you guys very much. I'm going to go feed myself and then get back to organizing my studio. We have I'm going to be doing a Christmas special on my channel. That will be, I think I'll launch it like maybe 2 days before Christmas. With like music and comedy and that kind of stuff, as much as I can shoot by myself in my house with all my gear, which will be insane. But I'll, it'll be on my, it'll be on the Patreon early, and then it'll be on the regular channel for everybody to watch around the holidays. Just so you have something to watch if everybody's home and they don't, they're either bored or alone or sad, or everybody's stuck with the same people in the house, or you need a break from them, so you want to go watch something for like 45 minutes to an hour. I'll see how much material I can come up with for it. But I want it to be kind of like a traditional Christmas thing. So it's going to be an undertaking, I have no doubt. But since the next Sexy Liberal is a best of with a couple of extra things, which I think is pretty cool, I would rather do a full one, but I'm outvoted. I'm going to do this one along those along those lines. So just for everybody, like a little Christmas, New Year's magic just for us. It's my own little Dolly Parton kind of a gathering, So take care of yourselves. Take care of somebody else. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. And then, by the way, next Sunday, I think we're still on for that, but I will clarify. But next Sunday, I'm doing my show in LA at Flappers. If they do shut down like all gatherings, like right now they have the curfew or whatever, it's early enough in the day where we can still do it. And like I said, we're not selling tickets. It's, just the small audience there, but I'm live streaming it. If that gets shut down, I will just live stream it from home, but hopefully we'll be able to do it at the club to help them out. I'll let you guys know and all that kind of stuff. But there will be a Hal's, Sparktacular Christmas. We'll figure it out. Yeah. So, I will let you guys know if I have more information on that, but technically we're still on. So take care. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. See you later. Bye. Hold on. I'll sign this out. There we go. Hold on. I've got this. There you go. Ta-da. Oh, nope. I'm not be right back. I'm taking off. There it is. That worked. Thank you guys for all your support. Appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Take care of yourself. Smile some. We'll get through this. Wear your mask. Everything you need to do. Just please take care of yourself. There it is. Graphics.